VOD International stock plummets as shocking truth is revealed about using Compound V to make superheroes. Reports show unusual trading may indicate foul play, with some investors earning huge profits off the steep downturn.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Snapdragon Conquest Masters Series. My name is Chunks. Joining me is the one and only Froz. Froz, you've missed a lot of action. I cannot wait to get you back into this.
You know, I've been on the sideline watching things, and as it's been going down, man, it's quite interesting to see how things have been falling together so far. But, you know, we're not there yet. There's still so many days to go, and we got one exciting day here in front of us right now.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, we're still, you know, not really super deep into the competition, but past day 3 now. I mean, Imperium spoke yesterday about how the team should be feeling confident, even those that have maybe come through opens now, who've come through the qualifiers, who are getting the chance to prove a point. So you've got to think that tonight is where those lower down teams, those teams with maybe lower expectations, really don't have an excuse anymore, where they really do need to step it up and show exactly why they deserve to be here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we do have MANDRAKES, Team MANDRAKES on 7th place currently, so that is one of the teams coming in from qualifiers that is showing up big time so far. I mean, you got to consider, like, the teams coming in from qualifiers against some of the best teams in the world here in PUBG Mobile. It is a hard task to just, like, step it up straight away, but so far, so good for some of the teams. But yeah, of course, you're always going to have some of them in the bottom that doesn't have the same experience and, you know, lacking a little bit behind right now.
Yeah, I think it's important to take a look over at exactly which teams are going to be taking part tonight. Here is a list of all of them. Some names people may be familiar with, many that people will not. So I think for any newcomers here, you got to be looking at the standouts, the teams that are up at the top, teams like Alpha 7, you know, INCO, teams that are consistently putting in points and are up there at the top end of the leaderboard. But at the same time, for us, a lot of teams that really should have performed or maybe had high expectations coming into this have let us down a little.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of teams trying some new strategies out, trying some new players out, and because of that, you might see some of the teams falling a little bit behind right now. But I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter, right? If you know what you're doing, you know why it's falling apart right now, and you know how to bring it back up, that's a big deal.
I think an important thing to bear in account as well is the fact that we are going with a slightly different map order tonight. We're going to be playing 4 games today as opposed to 5 that we played over the past few days. 2 Erangel, 2 Sanhok, so it's pretty much guaranteed now to be a very fast-paced night.
Very fast-paced and very green tonight. We're not going to have any Miramar games, not going to have any sandy games. It's all just going to be green grass all around.
It's good. I mean, as much as I love Miramar, it does feel like sometimes it can be a little bit slower in the early game, and Sanhok is kind of the exact opposite. So I think that when you've got those aggressive fights on Sanhok leading back into another Erangel game, it's just going to be non-stop mayhem start to finish. I cannot wait.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's going to be quite impressive to see how the teams will be dealing with this. Of course, you have a group like Group C that will only be playing 2 of the 4 games here tonight, but at least they'll be playing 1 on each of the maps, 1 on Sanhok, 1 on Erangel, so you get a little taste of both of them.
I kind of like the fact that we've got A versus B twice tonight as well. So those teams, if they don't duke it out enough on Erangel, they can just go in Sanhok and have an absolute bloodbath. Let's take a look over at the overall standings and see how they are currently looking. Influence Rage, after 3 chicken dinners, still holding on to first place with 150 points. But INCO, 4 chicken dinners and holding on to second. Not what you'd expect, maybe.
maybe not what you would expect. I feel like INCO has been overperforming a little bit considering what kind of teams you have just below you. Also, of course, seeing Team QUESO up here, they have some newcomers, 2 new players on the team this year. And with that, being able to perform to this level is quite impressive when you look at the teams that they're up against. But seeing teams like Alpha 7 on 5th place right now, you know, that is a little bit shake up. And same thing with Loops, only getting 41 eliminations so far. I expect them to have a lot more. They're a very aggressive team overall. But of course, only 1 chicken dinner on the board for Loops so far. But one of the impressive things, again, is going to be Team MANDRAKES on the 7th place right now. 0 chicken dinners so far, but maybe today is the day where they get themselves the first one.
As we take a look further down the leaderboard, we'll go down to the middle and see just how close things are, because sure, there's a bit of a difference in terms of the lead from 1st to 2nd, but after that, the drop-off starts to become less and less apparent. Currently 2 points in it between 9th and 10th, and I mean, if you look all the way down to 16th, it isn't that big of a jump if you think about it, considering that chicken dinner is worth 15 points. Every elimination adds on top of that. So one strong enough game, even all the way down to GTM, there's a possibility you could be in the top 8.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, 25-point game is not an unusual thing to see, right? And just for those who have a goldfish memory like me, on the 8th place, it's Loops with 86 points. So it's 4 points from Black Dragons up to 8th place there on Loops. So it is, as you're saying, super close. But the main thing to take away from the teams here compared to the ones what we saw earlier on the 1st to 8 is that it's only 1 chicken dinner on all of these teams here.
Absolutely. Nova Esports also down there. Maybe expect that one to have a bit of a shift up tonight. But yet again, the story continues as we go down to 17th place and below. I guess up until a point of maybe Rise Esports, and then there's a pretty significant drop, and that just continues.
Yeah, I think there might be some teams that are down in that little death spiral. They are having a little bit of issues, and they're not, like, you know, putting in all the effort. Maybe it's hard to tell right now, but yeah, being down there, it's definitely going to be a rough path trying to put yourself up towards the top again. But at the same time, you have teams like MEZEXIS, Arnold Souls, and Rise Esports down here that I expect a lot more from. BULUC, CHABTAN as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one team that we've spoke about a lot over the past couple days has been INCO, because while you can see on the leaderboard they've been getting results, they've been doing it in a bit of a way that I'm not sure whether I like. They're playing very passive and they're getting very strong positions, which credit to them, but they're always those kind of positions that are very good to defend and hard to push, but you can't really get aggressive out of, and that's where they've been lacking. I think the elimination points, when you're getting those chicken dinners, if you're not getting 7-8 eliminations go along with it, then you are going to start noticing you're falling behind a lot of the other teams who can consistently get 10-11 to go with the chicken dinner.
I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter where you're getting the points from. Either it's from eliminations or from placements, as long as you're putting the points on board, which INCO is doing so far. So I'm hoping they can continue that trend, despite we want to see them be a little bit more aggressive, of course. But again, when you take those kind of positions as well, you're hoping for the circle to basically come on top of you. It's a lot of times we're going to see a lot of hard shift going on, and I mean, if you're unlucky, you don't get those hard shifts, you're putting yourself into a very defensive position. It might be really hard for you to try to push in, and that could be a little bit of trouble for them in the continuing path here. But we'll have to wait and see what they're going to be doing. Maybe they'll shift some things around.
Well, let's hop into game number 1. Going to be kicking things off with Erangel this evening. Maybe a bit slower than the Sanhok that we're hyping up later on, but I know it's all going to be equally as exciting, I should say, when that endgame does roll around, because the last few days have not disappointed. Yeah,
I mean, yep, time to game number 1 here. And as you saw, it's going to be Erangel. So here we go, starting in from the south, from the look of things. And I mean, pretty decent playing path, a little bit towards the east here. But overall, I mean, it's not that bad. It's always going to be a little bit bad for some of the teams. But in the end, it's all about how you put yourself into the positions. You can go for the vehicles early on if you want to go on the western side, like in North George and South George. So it shouldn't be too much trouble for the teams. But I'm wondering is if we might see some hot drops going on, or if people are just, you know, gonna take it a little bit easier to start things off with.
What I found really interesting yesterday is when we got kind of the inverse of this plane, where it was South Millie Island up towards Zaki area, is there tended to be a kind of two lines that every team landed along, and they were about 200 meters away from the plane on either side, and it ended up actually causing a lot more congestion than you would have expected. There were a lot of cities, for instance, and towns that were under the plane path that didn't end up getting dropped on, purely, I think, because teams were just afraid that another squad was going to land there. But honestly, looking at that phase 1 circle, the fact that most players haven't landed yet, I think that we're going to see the same thing, where teams will stay around that plane path and just chill out until phase 2.
Yeah, I mean, as you're saying, like, we basically have loops going directly underneath the plane path. Except for that, it's pretty much free all around there right now, along the plane path itself. But here we go, Alpha 7 straight in here. It's INCO, and Kirilla's gonna take the first knock here. Gonna try to first that, make sure they secure that point, but at the same time, we actually have a casualty on Alpha 7 as well. So it's 3 versus 3 right now. And I mean, this is what you kind of expect, right? When you have it like this, two teams that is towards the top, both of them want to make sure to secure those points. And again, you're fighting against another team that is towards the top. One of your top priorities is to take them out as soon as possible. But also, you don't want to lose some players yourself. Vitalia already super low, no armor, no helmet, no guns, and of course, no meds as well. This is the thing with hot drops like this. You don't have a lot of loot to work with. So we'll have to wait and see how they're going to work this one out.
It's a mutually assured destruction, isn't it? And if you are a team that's lower down in the standings, you've got to be looking at that elimination feed and thinking, hey, INCO have just lost one, then putting 2 and 2 together. When another one goes down, Korean barbecue lovers, Joe, you're going to have to figure that one out pretty quickly as he gets caught from an off angle. He's all going to be watching from the side, but doesn't even bother taking any shots because Joey's just there to finish it off. There's the first point on the board for them, but now with the rest of Z8 moving through, it's going to be a tricky one. Limited loot and all players taking considerable damage.
All right. So 2 hot drops straight away, and I mean, the thing is that when we see hot drops like this happening, it's gonna create a lot more space in the circle itself because we're gonna lose people so early on in the game itself. But at the same time, of course, in the first circle here, we are cutting off some of the land with a lot of water. Mafioso goes down as well. INCO gets a trade, so now it's 2 versus 2. It's even trades back and forth so far. Revel, of course, taking down low. Again, no meds on him as well. He's going to see what he can do here. He got some backup, but, I mean, yeah, this is a rough one. Becker, okay, he found himself a gun to work with. Looks like he only had a pistol before this. As you can see there, Mafioso, V2, both of them knocked. Looks like Revel is going to try to get that first and try to get that revive. Guerrillo! Oh, doesn't get it. 1 HP.
Oh no, Carrillo, that was so close. And that's not the first time that's happened to Becker now, where he survived by the skin of his teeth. We should not forget as well, look at this, Black Dragons are also starting to get involved. They landed over in the main Millie base, but now they're rotating round. As we switch away for a sec, we'll hop on board with Korean barbecue lovers as they get yet another elimination, being sure to flush those out immediately. I mean, a lot of people forget, you know, how much info a knocked player is able to give, especially on a building fight like that. But Nicholas, he's looking for all the info right now as Becker's down below, switches over to the M4 and quickly finished off, dispatched, looking for more as Alpha 7 just going to be consolidating, realizing the third party's taking place. Z8 though, they don't care, they're just sending it in and it's all but over.
Yeah, it looks like this is gonna be ending real quick, this one. But at the same time, down in Nova as well, looks like the big win of that one is gonna be Black Dragons coming in third party in that hot drop. Of course, they know that as well. Ooh, all right. Still not over yet. Lukaku, what can you do? Gets a knock on Sam. Now he's gonna try to get that point. That's 1 point on the board for them at least. But they've lost 3. And Korean barbecue still have 3 men up. Make that 2 because one of them just got knocked as well. This is going all south for all of the teams right now.
Oh,
no one is actually doing good in these hot drops.
Everyone is moving around here. You see Loops on the minimap now. They've heard the shots. They've surrounded it. Storm also going to be taking a fight on another front. Loops will be able to flush out the elimination onto Joey, so that will get themselves an elimination on the board. A nice point to go with it. Cardozen just hanging around the back, as it seems that Loops don't really have any concrete info on this as of yet. They're just sending the vehicles around, just trying to bait out some shots more than anything.
I mean, this is so smart, right? This is not the first team. This is the second team that we're seeing that is just third-partying these kind of hot drops. Loops coming in here a little bit later. Sure, they already know. They heard. They got all the information. They just need to find them right now. They know that they're weak. They know that they're hot dropped. So they know that they basically have no loot to work with as well. You can see them just like working around trying to figure out, okay, where are the rest of these players? We just want to farm these points and keep on moving into the game and make sure that we get a good spot to play from. Of course, with Pavka here, it's going to be inside the zone already, so it doesn't really matter that much. They're all fine playing from there here in the first circle.
And you can't forget as well, it's not just Lipovka. There's 2 or 3 spots that have 4 teams apiece. Look towards Milton, Novo, even looking towards School at the moment. A bunch of squads taking the same rotation paths, which I guess we're maybe used to on Miramar because of those valleys and the way it kind of funnels the roads, but maybe not so much on Erangel. It's a little bit surprising to see everyone sending it into the same place so early on, unless they know something that we don't, because they're clearly better at reading the zones than we are.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the congestion itself. Like, a lot of people hitting Lipovka, a lot of people just by Milta, and then you have Nova as well, and we have some action going on towards School as well. Like, these are the 3 hotspots right now, and we're already lost 12 players here in the game, and I mean, it's just keep on going right now. MEZEXIS got 2 people knocked here on the team as well, while they are playing, fighting against Storm here right now. And it's just trades going back and forth. It's not one team winning any of these drops from it. Like, look at it. No one's winning. The only one who is winning right now is the teams who are not in these hot drops.
It's something I've started to notice in this lobby where everyone wants to play aggressive in these 1 or 2 power positions early on, so they start to play kind of split, and because of that, and because of the fact that everyone's going for the same strategies, you get 2-3 teams in the same area in such scrappy fights, and that's what we saw the result of there. Black Dragons were able to get themselves a knock, as it appears back-to-back, down to just a 2-man. Not the first time it's happened. Yesterday, though, their game as a 2-man lasted about 5 minutes, if I remember correctly, so not the best for them, but look, there's still time to improve. Never mind.
They got themselves 1 kill on the board, 1 elimination. That's 1 point. Let's be honest, that's good considering that they only had 7 coming into this game. You want to see them getting a little bit more. In 10 games, they've got themselves 7 points. So in this one, getting 1 point, no matter what's going to happen right now, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Any point is a point all the same. As the circle shifts up to the north, everyone who banked on Milta are going to be forced to make a quick move. Lukaku tries to do the same, but unfortunately not fast enough. Cardozen is just waiting up there, and Loops, they were just ready for the pinch either way. So they've won this fight, but they still have more players to navigate, and we can't forget, Loops came into this a little bit late for all they know. This city's empty now. They haven't seen any signs of Korean barbecue lovers.
Yeah. So far, so good for them, though. 2 eliminations on the board, 2 points on the board, and they're just looking for more. But of course, as the second circle pops, we're already lost 18 people and 2 teams in total. That is pretty insane. You could say this looks like a Sanhok game right now.
I mean, I have no problem with playing full Sanhok, all right? Even if it isn't Sanhok in the map, it's Sanhok in spirit. Sanhok is a mentality for us, all right? And as long as you're willing to get into that mentality, it doesn't matter what map you're on, you're going to put on an exciting game for everyone at home.
Yeah, they're basically just warming up for the Sanhok game already. That's what we're seeing right now from the look of things. Of course, with the second circle that popped, that went very hard shift to the north. We see some teams trying to come in on the north side right now. Ground Zero Mercenaries is one of them. And VIVO Key seems to be the last team to enter the circle. They've been in the blue a little bit, but, you know, they seem to thrive out there. Currently sitting on a 4th place and trying to just, you know, scoop up what's left in this game, I guess.
I can't help but wonder as well, because obviously we have a map feed separately, as you can see on the screen now. What is going on with Mansion and Prison? Because those are two positions that I assume would just be taken so early on. I think it is maybe a fact if everyone wants to play these 1 or 2 power positions, that they're also assuming that the even more powerful positions may just be taken.
Yeah, it feels like it's too good of a spot, you know? They don't want to take it too good of a spot. That would mean that there's no fight going on. They want to take these fights in the most horrible places where you don't want to be playing in. And I don't know why, but, you know, I'd love to have someone explaining that to me, what is going on. But all right, Acer, one of the 2 remaining players here for Korean Barbecue. It's going to be quite impressive if they're going to try to pull something out of this, considering. But Acer normally plays with Boeing Protocol. This time, they're going to be with Korean Barbecue lovers.
You saw the nade land, so you've got to think that Loops have a read on it. Acer, oh, that was a close one with the peak there. Demeanor is just watching that wall as Toiko is pinned. The nade was actually very close to Zelix there, but obviously the wall being in the way, providing that little bit extra protection, which is what they were really looking for. Toiko just kind of leapfrogging with his teammate, knows roughly where the enemy's going to be. You can see the pre-fire come through. Toiko reads it out. Asor's still going to be there to provide Zelix? A bit of a crossfire, but Zelix, nicely done with the hip fire, looking for a second, but as he's tagged up, vaults out the window in the FPP view, and, well, Chief just comes out on top of that one.
Well, good play there from Loops, taking 2 separate fights, 2 play on each one, and they just wiped that out. Of course, Toiko got himself knocked, but when you have your teammate there, ready to get that trade straight away, it doesn't really matter. It's just a knock, but you got the points on the board. 4 points so far for Loops in this game. We're down to 44 players, and of course, that first circle has popped, and as we can see, it's going to head west this time. And, well, there's not a lot of people inside that circle right now.
I don't know about you, Froz, but I absolutely love this circle. You know that little kind of divot over on the west by the junction where you have like 3 dips and ridges next to each other? If it ends up ending there, you know it's going to be a messy end game. Save the nades until the final moments, because that's where they're really going to be useful. MEZEXIS Dream somehow gets dodged in the vehicle and isn't able to land the shots either. I guess, you know what? You miss me with your vehicle, I'll miss my shots.
I guess, yeah. I don't understand how he missed every single shot there. That shouldn't be possible. Normally, that would be an easy kill. Sam was basically just driving in a straight line as well.
Unfortunate, but look, I know that I definitely couldn't hit that spray, so I'm not in a position to criticize. As intense game, just going to be spreading out over on that shelter hill. It's interesting to see this specific area of terrain being used. Usually, you think that teams would go for more of the plateau areas rather than a large, open, kind of at an angle bit of terrain with very few trees. But I guess the ridge causes really good cover, and being able to get eyes onto that huge open field, especially with this circle, is so valuable.
Look, honestly, looking at how things been played out so far, nothing makes sense. So I'm not surprised they're trying to play a very bad spot like that. Same time, MEZEXIS here, they're trying to take shelter, and yeah, it's we got a few teams here, of course, by shelter area, and it is kind of the center of the map right now. But currently, it seems like all the teams who wanted to take an early fight, they're done with that one. Right now, it looks like the teams who are still alive still has players on the board. Taking a little bit slower here, except for Money. That is, J Money is trying to provoke someone from look of things, trying to bait someone out with some shots there, but no one is gonna take the bait. Meanwhile, BULUC CHABTAN here in the museum, just holding it down, having a good time, watching all the relics in there, and yeah, basically no one is pushing them. No one wants to push this. This is too good of a spot. So they're saying,
too powerful. I mean, you wouldn't want to, would you? Especially with a 4-man. I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made if, you know, when the late game comes around, you get a knock or two, then you can go for the push. But at least as it is with a 4-man in it right now, it's not worth crashing. You've got so many teams around you due to it being dead center that will be looking to take shots onto all of those outside walls. But with that zone shifting up to the north and so many teams being cut out and now forced into what's ostensibly completely open terrain, you've got to think that now all of those compounds, anything that provides just a smidge of cover, is going to be getting crashed by 2-3 teams at once. Yeah,
now is the time, if any time, to crash something if you want to be able to play on anything except for being out in the open, as you're saying with that circle. And once again, of course, that hardship, that's what we're talking about earlier, right? These hardships, they keep on happening, and the teams are basically just betting on, well, we'll hope that we'll get those hardships. If not, I guess tough luck. We'll just see what we can do about it. MEZEXIS here, still in the shelter. They haven't really moved yet. Looks like they are preparing themselves to move in somewhere. Axel's still not in a vehicle, though. Not sure what they're trying to do there. Outside the next circle, but they got some time. Meanwhile, all the other teams are basically moving their way in right now.
Not sure what that was from Vitaly there, laying prone and deciding to hop on the bike after taking the shots, but gets punished accordingly. INCO out in 13th, and as we mentioned earlier, if you're a lower level team, or you're maybe even in 5th place at the moment, you're looking to start eclipsing squad, seeing a squad like that go down fairly early on is going to be a big confidence boost to you. The problem becomes now, obviously, that limited amount of space. There's only so much you can work with, so you have to be getting on the aggressive to eliminate teams, not necessarily just for the elimination points, just to keep them out of your way.
Hey, back to back is out, but you know what? They got himself 1 placement point as well, so that's 2 points on board. Not on double digits yet in terms of total points, but they were getting close. They got 9 now.
I mean, any point's a point, isn't it? I mean, Loop's looking to grab just any point that they can at the moment. You see Chief sending it, a bit of a seat swap, and somehow it works out, runs over the player to finish off the job. That's the beauty of having a driver for you. Nicholas from Black Dragons using the smoke for cover as Loop's just absolutely send it in and clean up ATON. What is going on right now? 9 eliminations on the board for them.
And they're also doing a big 2-2 split with 2 players down on the eastern side trying to take another fight. See Zeusboy here trying to kill Nicholas, gets him, and that's the first point on the board here for Intense Game. A team that I expect a little bit more from, currently sitting in 19th place coming into this game. Now, poking the hornet's nest there with Loops a little bit. Loops currently with 9 eliminations in this game, and they still have 4-man up. It's looking great if you're Loops right now.
Talk about poking the bear, am I right? There's one team out there just eliminated 9 people so far, and, you know, Intense Game think, I know what's a good idea, let's just spam through the smoke and hope for the best. But you know what? It worked for them. They may not have converted it to eliminations, but they got a hell of a lot of damage, just as McGrellin finds a huge amount on towards those players from the other side of the hill. Looks for another. Acid's going to be eliminated. That leaves only 2 players up now from the Drakes, and it looks like Cello is just absolutely sending it in, gets peppered from the side, but little do they realize they've just given Vivo Keed so much information and been able to confirm a flush out of it.
Hey, we'll say welcome to into the game to Vivo Keed, getting their first elimination, first point on board in this game. And I mean, I just don't know, is this Scrim Game 6 that is going on right now? That's sure what it looks like.
It.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's natural, isn't it, when you have a lot of Sanhok players are going to be playing so fast-paced, and we're seeing that right now. Alpha 7 on the push, 2 eliminations on the board, but 1 player left up. Yet again, it's another one of those situations, isn't it, Frost, where it's a scrappy fight for one team, and the other is just taking the time to heal up a solo.
Look, at this time, if you're down to 1 player, it's more like, all right, GG, we go next. It's not much more you can do about it right now. Right now, I mean, okay, Loops lost 1 player, but I mean, still 3-man strong. We got a few teams actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams with 4-man up. That's gonna be MEZEXIS, VIVO Keed, BULUC, CHABTAN, Ground Zero, and who is the last one there? Is it WARMASTER? Yeah, it's WARMASTER. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really impressive there as Alpha 7 to fall in the end. Nice shots coming out from the solo to try and remain in it. Unfortunately, not enough. As now it looks like insane game. Loop's going to start rotating around the same rough area. VIVO Key looking to try and defend their own position, though. They are getting surrounded by MEZEXIS Dream, so taking as many shots as possible, not necessarily hitting them, but it's about providing that pressure aspect and avoiding teams getting too close to you more than it is necessarily getting those elimination points.
Yeah, looking at things, you know, we're in phase 5, 22 people left alive, 7 teams, make that 6 teams, I guess. Oh no, it's still 7 teams, but I mean, it definitely looks like everyone thought they dropped into Sanhok right now, and that's what they're playing. Like, they just want to get those eliminations on the board. Wait, Loops is out already. They did get 9 eliminations on the board, but already out. They were 4-man strong just a few seconds ago.
There are just teams falling everywhere right now. I can't make heads or tails of it. It really is just coming down to a battle of who can find the headshot first, as VIVO Keys start to make their way back, trying to do it a bit quietly by the looks of things. BULUC CHABTAN, I hate to say it, look, they're putting in good work. They're getting aggressive onto other teams, but you've got to think that they're going to be surrounded sooner or later with at least this position they're holding. There are so many teams either side of them.
Yo, Ground Zero Mercenaries though, 4-man strong, one of the 3 teams who still has 4-man strong, make that 4, VIVO Key got that revive, but they have 6 eliminations on the board right now, and they're looking pretty good. They're sitting on the northeastern side of this circle, and as we can see, everybody else is on the southwestern side, and now Ground Zero, they also got the next circle on top of them. Watcho here, okay, what can they do here? They're trying to get rid of WARMASTERs, but this is just so much destruction going on in the open. There is nothing to play. It's all about those vehicles. Watch him making that play right now. And I think it's only one member left here on WARMASTER now.
Really nicely done from BULUC CHABTAN, but they have got a player not, so they need to get aggressive quickly. Sure, they have the info onto roughly where this final player is, but the smoke is denying a lot of that. Watcho able to finish off the job. That makes it 4 eliminations on the board. There is still a solo left to navigate, and obviously those MEZEXIS Dreams players coming down the back as well, so they do need to be careful, but the nade in hand as the circle starts to close. VIVO Key going to be the ones on the aggression at the moment.
Well, looks like they're losing that one. Hulk is doing a good job trying to hold that down. Looks like Diego might be down for the count. No, he's actually still running around with basically 0 HP, I guess. I don't even see his HP bar anymore. Adrian is in the smoke as well. Yeah, down to 4 teams already, and 3 of them has 4 man up. MEZEXIS down to 1 player standing, 1 crawling around right now, and just trying to figure out what to do here next.
M2M just boosted up. I mean, can you blame him at this point? You know that you're going to be taking damage, and the chances are you're not going to be able to heal it. As VIVO Key continue to push through, they're looking to finish off those remaining players, but can't over-aggress, realizing if they do, they open themselves up from behind. BULUC CHABTAN lose 1, but in the end, it is going to be MEZEXIS Dreams that lose Marco. As now BULUC CHABTAN heal up, start to flex a little bit more. They need to switch their attention to GZM. If they can take down Bro, it gives them a hell of a lot more freedom. They can flex out a little bit wider. They can play more of this hillside, granted, while still being exposed to VIVO Key, no matter pretty much what position they play.
Look, Ground Zero Mercenary is currently doing a big 2-2 split here, trying to take on all of the teams at the same time, or basically forcing them out. Watcho taking that buggy. I think he's going to try to juke them. Bro, trying to go with the nade. He's got to be careful. That jump just when he was throwing that nade could have cost him his life there. You see Cielo going down. Oh, that's a good nade coming in from Bro. That is going to be right on the money there, taking down M2M.
Montoya trying his best to remain in it, but as he takes cover behind, the UA's already smoking. You got to think time is limited. McGrellin off to the side, and there it is. Waco going to be taken out by the vehicle explosion. Diego does finally bleed, so Vivo Keyed will be at least confirmed down. Yet another player, still 3 on the board. However, one of them having been downed. They need to be careful of this nade from Frog. All it takes is one well-placed frag, and it's over for Adrian. All onto McGrellin now. He's backed between literally a rock and a hard place. The zone on his back, Rock to his front, GZM off to the side. It's going to be a tricky one no matter how you look at it here, but you could hope for his sake that GZM can focus on Montoya enough to at least confirm in a second place.
Or if he can confirm it himself, if he finds that one, it's a 3-point elimination there. 1 point for elimination, 2 for the placement on top of that. I mean, sure, he could go all the way. I doubt it though. Yeah, he's gonna go out. All right, so it's gonna be a 3rd place for Vivo Keyed. Not a bad start considering what we've seen so far. BULUC CHABTAN, they are gonna stay strong here. They need those points. Currently sitting on 21st place with 28 points. They basically just got 50% more points. But it's gonna be Ground Zero Mercenaries taking home the first chicken dinner here for tonight on the Erangel.
Really, really impressive indeed. The way they were able to take control of that end zone was just flawless, honestly. They had everybody completely covered. They didn't really expose themselves too much. They knew how to isolate the fights, and that's why having that player advantage up towards the end is so important. If you have 4 players up compared to a team with 3, all it takes is really for you to out-communicate them and you can win the game.
32 points to Ground Zero Mercenaries. They came in with 59 points coming into this one. So that's going to be a good chunk of points for them. Same with BULUC CHABTAN. They only had 28 before this one and now getting 18. Of course, Vivo Keyed is a team that we've seen for towards the top already. And they're going to continue being up there. Loops as well. Some of the bigger teams that we see up here. But, you know, in the end, I'm not sure who's the winner, who's the loser of this game.
No, and look, I think something that we've touched on over the past few days has been how the top of the leaderboard at the end of each match has just sponged up so many points. So 32 of those going to GZM. Let's take a look down at the second half and see just how barren it is right there. And you know what? Only one team with a big fat donut right there. Everyone else has been able to get at least something on the board.
Yeah. Hurts to see. Stone Gaming, they weren't even in a hot drop. They were basically in the center of the map there. But yeah, it didn't work out. Back-to-back, though, 2 points. I'd say that's a win for them. As I said, I'm not sure who's the winner, who's the loser here. I'd say back-to-back is a winner with 2 points. Very weird thing to say, but, you know, they're almost at double digits now.
Look, when you're that low down on the leaderboard, any point makes a difference, unfortunately. But look, GZM, it can't be kind of taken away from them right here. How impressive that win actually ended up being, only healing themselves 400 HP and able to get 17 eliminations out of that. If this is old school PUBG Mobile and you're trying to join a team based purely off your ADR, GZM, they're getting signed to a top org.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they put themselves into this position, right? They put themselves into a position where they could just basically just farm people. They didn't put themselves into danger as well. So great to see them taking the opportunity and grabbing that chicken dinner.
Of course, the attention can't all go to GZM. There's a couple teams that were able to put in some work as well. You can see Toyko topping the heels. Not really surprising with the way that Loops were playing, but GZM top on damage, top on eliminations. Is it any wonder they were able to get the chicken dinner that match?
I mean, no, it felt like a no-brainer. You saw all the teams fighting in the Southwest and Ground Zero. They was basically just taking a Northeastern by himself, and they saw that as well. They saw other teams were fighting, so they were like, all right, let's do a 2-2 split, put ourselves into a good position, and let's just start farming already.
Absolutely. I think we can take a look at the overall leaderboards, though, as they have been updated. In first place now, still going the way of Influence Rage, but INCO being able to pick up 2 points. It might not be many, but it's putting them on the board and closing that gap. But for us, you have to take into account here the number of matches played. QUESO and Influence Rage each on 10, and considering the leaderboard positions, going into the next one, this could be the next 2 top teams.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what I'm kind of expecting as well. Great to see that QUESO is being up here, despite them having 2 new members on the team, basically, and 1 less gameplay. But Influence Rage being up here, it's kind of a no-brainer. We've seen just been dominating this whole region this whole year, basically, and feels like they're just going to keep on doing the same thing.
Let's take a look a bit further down on the leaderboards as GZM getting that chicken dinner. Talk about a boost. I forget how many points they actually got in that one game, but I'll tell you something. They have eclipsed a lot of teams to get up tonight. And they're actually a team that we spoke about earlier, I think, as a team that were down in like 16th position. And we spoke, hey, maybe they could make this kind of jump.
Hey, I think they got 32 points, which is a third of the points that they have in total.
Wow.
And that's just from one game itself, you know? So if they can keep that up, sure, it's going to be looking good. But just they just got to make sure this is not an outlier of a game for them.
Of course, we are in 3 groups. Let's take a look down at the bottom of the leaderboard. I wouldn't be too concerned if you're 19th, 20th, a team like Rise or Honored Souls right now with 10 matches played. Obviously, they are a team that they are teams that have still been slightly underperforming. But if you're a team like Souls or any team with 11 matches played down in the bottom 4, you should be really concerned right now.
Look, you can say back-to-back, okay? You can say their name. They don't even have double digits yet on their points.
Do they deserve it, though? Do they deserve me to say their name?
That's true, actually. I'm not sure. Maybe we shouldn't say their name anymore. It's not. It's back-to-back being towards the bottom. That's for sure.
If we don't talk about them, then we'll just make a rule that we don't talk about them until they get 50 points, and then we're good. But anyway,
we're never going to talk about them.
We'll see. Look, still 3 games to go tonight. We're going to take a very short break. Do not go anywhere. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes with game number 2.
International stock plummets as shocking truth is revealed about using Compound V to make superheroes. Reports show unusual trading may indicate foul play, with some investors earning huge profits off the steep downturn.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Snapdragon Conquest Masters. One game in. Erangel's delivered us enough action tonight for us, but coming up next is going to be Sanhok. This is where you just got to turn it up to 11 and imagine it's a scrim game.
Look, I'm not sure. Did we actually play on Erangel, or was that a Sanhok game? Because it looked to me like a Sanhok game. But of course, if we got a Sanhok game in front of us, can it be more action-packed than the previous game? I hope it can, but it's gonna be real hard.
Yeah, it definitely will be, especially for the teams that have not played yet tonight. Obviously, coming into this, having to step things up and really hit the ground running. It's, you know, all well and good being able to sit there on the sidelines and watch the other teams battle it out. But as we go into Sanhok now, you've got to think it's going to be really tricky.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're going to have Group C coming in here. It's going to be ENXAME Gaming, Orange Souls, Infinity Esports, Influence Rage, Nova Esports, Rise Esports, a lot of esports. Team QUESO and Team Souls. So those teams, they didn't play in the first game, but they're going to be jumping in here on Sanhok straight away, and we're going to see if they're going to be able to do a little bit better than some of the other teams in the previous game here. But of course, don't forget that we have a great sponsor here. So if you like PUBG Mobile, wants to play with high performance, you have to get a smartphone with Snapdragon processor. It supports HDR10, high contrast, and bright color depth, game quick touch, and much more. Make sure to follow Snapdragon Official on Instagram and Snapdragon on Twitter to get the latest news on performance. Of course, I use Snapdragon Performance on my phone as well. You have that as well, Chunks?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm a massive
It doesn't matter as long as it works, right?
I have no idea. Or I don't deal with that.
Alright, but you know, we're gonna be jumping in here. It's gonna be Sanhok for game number 2, of course. We started on Erangel, we're moving over to the next green map here. And with what we saw here in the previous map, I'm expecting a lot of mayhem and looking towards bootcamp. It looks like we might have a few teams trying to go there. But you know, it might not be the only hotspot on the map. We saw everything going down all over the place on Erangel as well. It would be surprised me if we've seen the team split up a bit more and not taking those other fights here on Sanhok.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, bootcamp has been dropped on with different teams. So I think it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Taking a look over the squads around bootcamp when they do decide to actually push into it, or whether they want to back off instead and play a bit more passive, unlike what we saw yesterday.
Okay, so look at things. It looks like Cow is going to be the big place here for the hot drop. It's going to be Korean barbecue and who else is it? I think it's BULUC CHABTAN up here. No, it's actually Black Dragons. Okay, so 2 teams up here. Going to try to fight it out. Oh, wait. We have Ground Zero Mercenaries as well. So is that 3 teams up here then? Is that what I'm seeing?
It looks messy. Look, this is the problem with Sanhok, isn't it? The map is so small that when we're in positions like this and there are so many teams so close together, it's almost impossible to keep track of. I don't know how the players manage to do it when they don't even have that mini-map with all the icons and everything on. Being able to just keep track of 2-3 different teams in such a tricky location is so impressive.
Okay, so we're actually up in hot 10 here. Okay, now I see. With this overview, now I can see where we are. It's going to be Ground Mercenaries and Korean barbecue lovers up here in hot team fighting off. And, I mean, what is going on? Like, how are we not having more hot drops here on Sanhok compared to the Erangel game we just saw?
Good
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, Sanhok is just organized chaos, and to a certain extent, not even organized most of the time. It is just a case of try and slot yourself in somewhere and don't die. So I don't think there is much of a strategy that you can really actually bring to a map like this, unfortunately, unless it is something like, okay, we know this is a power position, let's try and drop by that. I think, honestly, for some teams, it can actually be better on Sanhok. Just go with the reaction drop. Get down early, get yourself some weapons, and just slowly work your way into zone. Don't get overly aggressive too early on.
I mean, look at the circle. Even the circle saying, okay, slow things down a little bit. We're going to have the most normie circle ever. It's going to cover as much landmass as possible. And we're basically going to make sure that everybody's inside this one. Oh, Kyoski.
Okay.
He survives that one. I don't know how. He is taken down very low. He doesn't have any backup from look of things, but how is he going to be able to survive that? Oh, yeah, it's not. That's the whole thing. He's not going to be surviving that at all. Low boy coming in for the rescue here. A little bit late, but let's see if he can find a few points on the board maybe. He got Law next to him as well, and we can see the Federal is coming in from the other side. So, yeah, a little bit late to the party, but they are looking for QUESO. They want to get some revenge here on Kioski.
I'm in shock over that, honestly. I thought that they maybe thought, hey, let's throw a nade up there just to be sure when it didn't actually connect, that they were just going to let it slide. But no, he got the heal off and nearly managed to actually trade out some damage. I think the Molotov maybe just caused a little bit too much panic. But Lil Boy has the perfect read onto where these players are. But as he scouts up, I'm not sure whether he actually saw any. So it looks like Influence Rage may be looking to back off or at least cluster together a little bit more, just so they're not being caught out as a solo by 3 players from QUESO.
Imagine being Kioski, right? You're in Group C. You play 2 games here today. The first one, you played 3 minutes of the game, and you're already taken out. Let's hope he can have a better game in the next one. Meanwhile, Federal here, of course, once again, getting real close here to QUESO. Yala, one of the outstanding members, one of the oldest members from Team QUESO, gets taken down straight away. Federal gets a lot more damage done. He's taken down low. He does have 1 first aid. And he has backup coming in, but he's taking down already. And he is taking out straight away. But there's a trade coming in from the low boy. He's taking down low as well. It looks like Law is going to be the last man standing for Influence Rage now. And he's way far back here. Like, okay. This is not what I was expecting from Influence Rage. Not when you're going to be on the first place here on the overall leaderboard. Not when you're going to be leading on the damage, on the eliminations, coming into the first game like this for him. All right. I guess that's how they want to play things out today.
He's in the zone, I guess.
Yeah.
Think of the positives, you know.
All right,
I mean, look,
that's a W, I guess.
You've lost your entire team, but if you can just sit in one of these buildings long enough and avoid making it look like it's being looted, then you can get yourself a couple points out of it, even if they're not the most gentlemanly points. They're not ones that the other player will, applaud you for. That is very much a desperation play. Team Souls just going to be sweeping their way through boot camp. Not too much to worry about. Obviously, having teams around does make them have to play a little bit more cautiously, and being dead center in the circle, I think with boot camp can be a bit of a drawback, honestly, with how those rotations have to look when you move out. But at the same time, who's to say boot camp's even going to go out of the zone?
Look, I'm just surprised a team like them can get the boot camp for himself, honestly. This is Influence spot for Influence Rage to drop on. Of course, Alpha 7 as well, but Alpha 7 is not playing in this game, so I wasn't expecting them to go down here. But Influence Rage should have taken this. This is how they play Sanhok. This is how they win, basically, every second game of Sanhok. But, yeah, they don't want to go for it. I guess they wanted a little bit more action. They got himself a little bit more action, and now it's only Law left alive by himself. But he did found some new friends in that little shack. It's a few mannequins and not talking back that much, but it's a little bit of company, I guess.
It looks like a whole last playdate right now as INCO start to move their way up and get involved. Vitali from the off angle, beautifully done with the 3x. Nicely landed onto the QUESO players as V2 starts to throw out a couple more nades himself, just making sure that that tower is free. And this has actually pushed QUESO off significantly right now. Mono going to be falling, leaving, I believe, only 1 player left up for this squad. So as they just sweep their way through, if they find him, you've got to think it should be pretty easy, but they're seeming to look the opposite direction, and that could lead Becker to get caught out on his own.
Looks like it's Coach Emmett, last man standing for QUESO. Not sure what he's going to be able to pull out against the INCO here. 4-man strong still, and they're just looking to find him right now. Sure, you might get 1 knock, but are you even going to get the first on that? Nope, not even going to get that 1 knock. It's going to be Team QUESO, first team out. Despite them taking out 3 members of Influence Rage, that's all they're going to get for this one.
Nicely done, as now the phase starts to just slowly consolidate. More shots coming through from pretty long range. I don't think they're going to be too concerned about it. However, still have to be open, knowing that it could be a possibility they get spotted. Never mind, McGrellin, beautifully done from that kind of range. He's continuing to pop the shots and nearly managed to confirm a flush there.
Yeah, I guess why not? Why not? If you can take those shots, you can see how far away they are. As well, if you have nothing better to do, like VIVO Key right now, no one is even remotely close to them. INCO is the team that is closest to them. And yeah, if you see something move, just shoot at it, I guess. There's nothing else to do. Yeah, there's nothing else to do right now. I mean, at this point, we have 55 players still alive. In the previous game, on the first game for today on Erangel, we had 44 players alive at this point. And this is Sanhok we're talking about. What is going on?
I think that maybe the teams are learning because we played so much Sanhok yesterday. They may be learning, hey, we need to play this a little bit slower. It hasn't been going all well for a lot of these squads. A lot of teams, especially on Sanhok, go out so early on. It's not really like Erangel where teams are likely to be spread out thin and maybe just get caught on a rotation. If you get caught on Sanhok, the chances are you're as a four-man and you're either going to steamroll or getting steamrolled. There's no in between.
Yeah, and you have Nova down in the southern part. Let's see what they're gonna bring to the table here. They haven't been fighting anyone. They've been taking very chill, and wouldn't surprise me at all if we see them trying to do some sort of healing strategy on this one, trying to secure some points doing that. Because let's be honest, they're infamous for doing that always. No matter if they're four. Oh, Daddy gets a knock on Infinity over there on Quanshu, but I don't think he's gonna get elimination on it. And yeah, all right.
Who needs the heal strat when you can hit shots like that? You know, I mean, really nicely done from Storm to hit that, but the problem is, what are you gaining out of it now? There's a tree in the way. He's not going to be able to get the flush. All he's really gained, and I hate to say this, is giving his position away. Younes, though, that's exactly what you want to see, watching that side angle, and Myth just runs in completely blind. Now, they need to be careful. There are more Honored Souls players about, one of whom specifically being inside the compound, so Rise have to try and get some support and quick, but at the same time, they can't afford to send every player into here. Otherwise, Honored Souls are going to have a beautiful time just getting crossfires and really trapping them in the compound.
Yeah, I mean, Pedrino looks to be all by himself over there. GC God is not even close. Artusian is even further away. I'm not sure what the plan is here for Honored Souls right now. You can see Pedrino is going to try to move away silently with those jump punches. And now he's just going to try to just dig into deck. Oh, no, too early.
Yeah, I thought for a second he was going to be able to make it just hit the deck, prone out of there, but no. All down to Rafinha, all down to Seagod, I should say now, as his teammate doesn't appear to be anywhere nearby, trying his best to return the fire onto Rise, but honestly, they are just not giving up on this. They are relentless. They are closing the distance, and now as they pull back up into the compound, Honored Souls, sure, they've taken casualties, but at least they remain in it, and they stand the chance of getting some placement points, maybe a couple eliminations on the board as the game goes on.
This might be the slowest Sanhok game I've ever witnessed so far.
I was going to say that to you earlier, honestly. like out of the Sanhok games that we had yesterday, this is nothing compared to it. Just wait till phase 3. I'm sure that's when it starts.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm hoping, at least, because this is not cutting it right now. This is not good enough. Not for me, at least. I want to see a little bit more action, you know? We know that the team's got it in them. We know that they like to go more aggressive, especially on Sanhok itself. So it's a big surprise. Another big surprise is that Mythic is not playing with Rise right now. Not sure if he's just sitting out this one or what's going on, but Mythic, usually the star player of Rise, is sitting out right now. So, yeah. But I guess it's still working out for them, so far at least. But
if I'm correct, I haven't actually seen Mythic play with Rise yet, so I'm wondering if there's maybe been a roster move there, or whether it is just a temporary sub situation.
You know what? Let's let me take a look at this then. Rise.
I'll let you go down that rabbit hole if you want, while I take a quick look over towards Corey, because that circle has just popped dead center on it, and this is going to be messy. There is no cover in that area. Everyone surely has to be battling for the few hillsides around it.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. Actually, you know what? Looking at the lineups, I don't see a Myth Mythic here on the roster. Okay, that's interesting.
It's so professional for us. checking Liquipedia midstream. We are really coming in here prepared. But look, CHABTAN though, they've got all the preparation they need. They've conceded a member, and now they just have to close the distance. The problem is M2M exposing himself now, giving away the info on where he is. It allows GZM the opportunity to start throwing out nades. And well, you might think BULUC CHABTAN, they've got a bit of a crossfire, but if they're not exposing themselves to throw the nades, there's nothing you can do. One bounce should be enough to end it, as in the end, Prog from the side angle, able to find the player at the rock, but knows there's going to be enemies pushing over the top as well, sees them make a move, but isn't able to connect. BULUC CHABTAN just playing slowly, and don't forget that player going for the revive now is catching Prog in a bit of a crossfire.
Prog doesn't even have a helmet. He's so confident in himself right now. He's just like, you know what? I don't need it. Actually, he might have needed it. Well, he didn't go down to a headshot, so I guess in the end he didn't need it. Lucas is going to be the last man standing here for ground zero. And we saw him win in the last game. This time they go out with 0 points from hero to 0. What a surprise. Not at all.
Not ideal, but you know what? BULUC CHABTAN, they're getting points on the board, and that's all we could ask of for them. They're a team that so far have really struggled with that, being able to get 2 eliminations this early on. But not lose a member, it's only positive so far for them. But Korean barbecue lovers, they know there's a fight going on around the other side of this hill as they look to finish off Martins. That might be the cue for one of the other Black Dragons players to go for the peak, but in the end, they're able to catch a player from the side and start to equal it out. Never mind with a headshot like that, though.
Can we not have team called something like Korean barbecue lovers? Because that just makes me hungry.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah, right? Like, every time I say, I'm like, oh, I wish I could go for some Korean barbecue right now. Eunice goes down. Carrillo looking for some more here. Alpha 7 trying to make a comeback after a horrendous first game. So far, no points on the board. And, well, they are pinning down Rice here, so they might be able to grab a few. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there. Sam gets one there. That's going to be Black Dragons Nicholas, and that's Black Dragons out on 14th place in this one. So another team out with 0 points in this one.
As soon as we talk about a team doing well, like Black Dragons, for instance, saying, hey, they're starting to get aggressive, this is what we wanted to see, and they end up falling. Really not ideal. The next circle is going to start making a move shortly, and it is just a brutal one. For anyone who isn't aware, Quarry is near unplayable, I think it's fair to say, just with how open it tends to be from those above you. It's not the kind of position you want to be going into unless the zone is literally on your back, forcing you in there.
Yeah, 100% agree on that one. And we can see that a lot of teams, they are trying to get inside right now, trying to find some sort of foothold to play from. But it is just so many spots you can play from in this one. And a lot of teams, they are trying to figure out, okay, what's the best play here? Honestly, there is no best play. Just go for whatever you can. Just get a few eliminations, a few points on the board instead.
Storm just waiting as 7 looks out. He still knows there's a player up in that tower, but he hasn't been able to land the shots yet. That has got to suck. But now as the crashes start to come in, Alpha 7 are going to be switching over to the defense. Carrillo's gone down, but instantly the trade comes out from Mafioso, takes down 2 of them, makes it a 3rd and clutches it out. Alpha 7, 4 eliminations on the board. The style points coming through from Mafioso for the way he handled that one.
The one-man squad of Mafioso himself. I mean, he just read them like a book there, taking them down one by one. And he said, well, okay, no problem. You're coming towards me. All right, let me just reload my gun. I'll take care of you in a second. Now, moving on, though. Storm, still alive, still 4-man strong. Still no points up on the board. Koi is going to go down to the blue. No, actually, it was Adrian who got the knock there. And, all right. That's another point on the board. We see a lot of teams trying to make desperate moves now, trying to get into the circle. Meanwhile, you have a team like Influence Rage. They have basically... Wait, is that... That's not Influence Rage. Who's that?
Infinity.
Oh, it's Infinity. Yeah, sorry.
Teams.
Yeah, okay. They got basically half the circle by themselves right now.
Yeah, they have just insane control going on. It's really impressive to see, but you've got to think that someone's going to push in. But at the same time, how are you going to push onto a position like that? They've got hard cover, they've got high ground. They're the two things you look for when it comes to taking a position, and they've just got them both in abundance right now. Provided no one from Honored Souls tries to make a push into that bottom compound, they should remain relatively safe. I can't see those northern teams really causing too much of a problem for them.
And all right, we Nova's still outside in the blue. Looks like QC might be going for the heal strategy. Meanwhile, Revel is going to try to farm a little bit more. Swagman is down right now, but they're probably going to be able to revive him soon enough. And we can see that a lot of people are starting to fall as we go further into this game. Currently, 32 people left alive right now. We got 10 teams still standing strong, but oh my, that circle just hard shifted to the north. If it couldn't be worse, this is gonna be the worst possible circle if you're not already in that compound, basically.
Remember about 30 seconds ago, I spoke about how Infinity have like an amazing position and it's not going to be getting breached anytime soon? Well, I lied, because now they all have to start making a move. I mean, look, Achilles is inside of the zone right now, but over on that eastern side, they're going to have to make a cross. So it just comes down to seeing what's going to happen over on the west and seeing how those teams kind of ensure each other don't make it in. Alpha 7 going to be the first to really start getting aggressive. They've got a long way to go, but look, when you're out on the edge of the zone, everyone is going to be looking at you. Revo's been tagged up, popping the first aid. No real signs of getting into this one. If any more shots start to land his way, the first aid comes out, but there's only one in his pocket after that one pops. It doesn't matter. Mufasa's there to finish off the job, and now 3 players left for Alpha 7.
And it's looking grim for him trying to work their way in. Law still alive and kicking. Remember, he lost 3 teammates early on in the game. So far, he's got himself 3 eliminations on the board and at least the top 10 secured there for the team. Now, he's fighting Korean barbecue lovers, which is right now getting, well, they took him out, and that's going to be 10 eliminations on the board for them. I guess Adrian is doing some weird stuff. Not sure. Okay.
I'm not sure if that was intentional, but you know what? Look, he denied the points.
Yeah, I guess. Wait a minute. Remember when you talked about Infinity in their position? Look at this next circle, though, because they got this circle on top of them, actually.
That circle has gone perfectly in their direction right now. I mean, for Alpha 7, this is kind of the final nail in the coffin, it feels like. Sure, he's got 10 bandages and 1 first aid after this one, but it's so far to go, and Storm are just posted ahead of him. Rise now start to make a move of their own. Mafioso looked to try and get a bit of an off angle, maybe find an elimination out of it, but now it appears he's just going to wait for Storm. He should be able to see that player land the spray, and look, he's just got himself an elimination point on the way out.
Hey, why not? An extra point on the board. He'll take it. Actually, he might be able to just revive him there. If
Potentially.
Sam has something to say about it, he's gonna say no. Not gonna land that nade. Not gonna hit anything. Green Barbecue still holding up strong. I take that back. Joey goes down. Trying to move in. Taking out straight away. Not looking good now. They need to push. The circle is on top of them. They have no cover to play with. Few smokes down, but I mean, it's not going to help a lot. It's so easy to just spray through it. It's just 1 smoke up. Get some more smokes out. ASO, last man standing here for Korean barbecue lovers. They got 10 eliminations on the board, but they want more. They want to survive a little bit longer. ASO still not inside the next circle, and he's getting pushed by that circle. At the same time, Infinity though, they've got himself 5 eliminations pretty quick here, but that's 2 knocked. Oh no, in a very bad spot as well.
Akil's down. It's all down to Lux and Juancho's. I mean, this is going to be a monumental push if they're able to pull it off. Now, you can't forget either, they're throwing down the smokes. They got to block off these windows if they want to increase their chances, but it looks like all of that util is long gone. You could see them throwing down the lethals. That's really a sign of last resort now. It looks like Juancho maybe does have a smoke, going to drop a bit of util over to his teammate as Storm get ready to make a move of their own, realizing that they can't really stay resided to this compound forever, that teams are going to make a push. And now as C got his, this surely one of his teammates is going to peek out around the side to try and find something. I say that, but he's not actually on Storm. I'm stupid. He's on Honors Gold, and they're only a duo.
Hey, you know what to say, right? Sharing is caring, but this is too much sharing between the teams right now. Come on. Yeah, Storm, that's what I'm talking about. You want to take them out. You don't want to share this with them. That's going to be 1 hour. Tuesday's going to be down here, and Arnold Souls is down to GC. God, he gets one, actually. Can I get another one? No, he cannot. He's going to be taken out straight away, and we're down to top 3 now.
That'll be the end of it for them. Storm backed against the zone now. What a weapon to choose at this kind of range. It's going to be an interesting one. You see the DBS in play earlier as well, so really useful on these close range fights, especially in these compounds. As Infinity lose one, they lose the second, and that's going to be Storm that confirm themselves the second chicken dinner of the evening. Very important for them, considering the spot they were coming into tonight.
100%. They were sitting pretty far up on the leaderboard coming into today. But that one is going to solidify a little bit more points. Actually, that might move them up to maybe a top 3 or something. I have to wait and see, of course.
Absolutely. We will see going forward just how everything broke down in that match, but Storm Gaming really stole the show. Impressive performances all around from them, and hopefully they'll be able to keep it up and start stacking those points up a little bit further.
Yeah, I mean, they had a rough time as well. Remember that when they were down in the quarry and had to push up into the compound. That's a really hard task, especially when you have people behind you as well. Remember when Mafioso got that knock on Judo down in quarry as well. That was just before they needed to push up. But, of course, well played by Storm Gaming, getting that chicken dinner on the board here. It's a well-needed one. It's going to be their first one as well here in the Snapdragon Conquest Master Series.
Absolutely, really impressive. Let's take a look over at the match ranking for that one. Obviously, Storm stealing the show, but yet another team that may be wanting to improve tonight, Korean Barbecue Lovers. They were very low down in the standings. 22 points. That'll be a significant jump for them.
A really good, hefty amount of points for them. And of course, Infinity, we saw them having a good position to play from, but they couldn't make it work too well. I say only 7 eliminations. It comes down to how much control we saw them having earlier on there towards the end circles. But in the end, they got themselves 90 points on the board, which is not bad at all. And going down, we can see Influence Rage there on 8th place with 5 points. That means on the bottom half, it's probably going to be pretty scarce when it comes to the points.
Let's take a look down at the bottom half, see exactly how it unfolds. And you are absolutely right. 3 teams with big, fat zeros down at the bottom there. And it is a little bit surprised as well to see a lot of big names down here. Look at Team QUESO, for instance. Only 3 points out of that match, and they were all eliminations.
Yeah, I mean, Team QUESO, VIVO Key, Nova Esports, BULUC, CHABTAN, a few really big names that is down here. Of course, he got himself a few points on the board, but in the end, if you want to be contesting for the #1 spot, you got to put something better on the board than that.
Absolutely, you do. 8 eliminations is more than enough to put up on the board, and that's why Storm showed so much confidence. Don't get me wrong, the ADR isn't quite as good, but what can you expect on Sanhok, where it isn't really those long-range shots? It is a lot more scrappy team-on-team fights, where you could end up getting revived 3-4 times in a game.
Yeah, usually we talk about Sanhok being kind of a wildcard map, because it's not played as much normally, but you know what, here we're gonna change things up and we're gonna play it half of the games, and it makes it a little bit exciting because again, it's kind of a wildcard. Anyone can win it, but not everyone can win it at the same time.
I mean, you see that demonstrated perfectly there, don't you? The Storm players who obviously won the match, only 2 of them are in the top eliminations. Everything else is going to players like Joey, Mafioso, who've just been able to stack up so much. And it is a little bit interesting to see how the damage is slightly different. I think we can take a look at the overall leaderboards, though, and see how things have been affected by that match. Obviously, there's going to be teams making huge jumps, and Storm are one of them, all the way up to 5th place now.
Yeah, they were sitting a little bit behind. They were on 6th place coming into today, but they were sitting a little bit behind. But with the win itself and those points they gathered on this previous game here on Sanhok, they're going to jump ahead. They're going to make sure that they're in that top pack. If we remove Influence Rage, we basically have a big top pack between INCO Gaming on 2nd place down to Alpha 7 on 6th place. It's only 10 points between all of these teams. That's very few points considering how many teams is there.
As we look a little further down on the leaderboard, you can see the point difference stays about the same. The distance for a win is very, very slim. So, as we mentioned many a time tonight, one small, difference in performance could mean a whole lot in terms of the overall standings, especially if this remains the case right until the final day.
Oh yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean, we have 24 teams right in the lobby, and someone's gonna be down towards the bottom. These teams are not going to be down there, but these are teams who are actually down in the bottom. Down with 12 kills, 12 matches played. We have Korean Barbecue Lovers and BULUC CHABTAN, two teams that we did see did pretty good here in the previous one, but still sitting down in the bottom 4. That's going to be rough.
Back to back, nearly just so close to double digits right now. 11 matches played. Maybe they'll be able to do it, but look, that's the leaderboard for now. We're at the halfway point of the evening. It's only a short one, so you do not want to be missing any of this action. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes after this short break, so do not go anywhere. 2 more games remain.
International stock plummets as shocking truth is revealed about using Compound V to make superheroes. Reports show unusual trading may indicate foul play, with some investors earning huge profits off the steep downturn.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Snapdragon Conquest Masters Series. My name is Chunks, joined once again by the wonderful Froz. 2 games in, and it's strange to think we're already at the halfway point of the evening.
Yeah, kind of strange, but you know what's stranger? It's how the games have been played out so far. I mean, sure, we got Erangel here coming up next once again, how we start things off, but you know what? These games have been all over the place so far.
Absolutely, they have. That's a theme that we've noticed the past few evenings, and I think that Sanhok has just kind of expedited that. One thing I'm kind of interested to find out, though, is now that we switch back over to Erangel, how much do you expect things to change? Because in my head, our Erangel match earlier on was arguably more intense and more action-packed than the Sanhok. I think that was maybe the logic of people thinking, oh, everyone's going to be playing dead passive on Erangel, let's play super aggressive instead. And then when everyone's playing aggressive on Sanhok, we saw what happened with INCO yesterday, where they were playing a little bit slower, everyone else was getting aggressive, and they just had to wait for the win.
You might be right about that, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see full-on action from the start again here on Erangel coming in here. I guess in a way, since we're having 2 Sanhok today as well, now with that we get back on the Erangel, it's gonna be action-packed straight away.
Absolutely. As we hop in there, I'm excited to see what the playing path is looking like. Hopefully it isn't one of those we've had, honestly, quite a few of now, where it just starts at south of Millie Island, then goes either west or east from there. Hopefully we can get some a bit more central unlock, maybe some areas of the map that we haven't seen too much of so far. But obviously, Erangel, Sanhok, probably my favorite combo of maps.
You know what's my favorite combo, though? It's having a Snapdragon in your phone. But you know what? Enough about that, because we're gonna jump into the game here. This is gonna be game number 3. We're back on Erangel game on Erangel and okay, this is quite a harsh plane coming in from the east here, and looking at things though. Let's see what we're gonna have, where everybody's gonna be dropping, because we saw a lot of destruction early on in the first game when we entered Erangel, and I'm expecting us to see the same thing here.
I mean, I like this playing path, honestly. Sure, it maybe cuts out Zaki, etc. in that North Georgia area, but as you mentioned in our previous Erangel game, if a team wants to get to an area like that, they have cars planned out. Typically, it's not unusual to not be able to get to your drop spot when you are landing on one of the extremities of the map. So, other than that, look, it opens up a lot of area for play. That whole southwestern side going to be potentially in here. So, a lot to keep an eye on. I can't wait to just see how it unfolds. I'm just waiting for that phase 1 pop now.
100% agree on that one. Looks like we're gonna have some action in Yasnaya early on as well. Let's see a little bit of a cluster here. Looks like it's gonna be the battle of the Imps? Infinity?
It is. Oh, this is not
Influence
going to be
Rage.
confusing, is it?
No. You know what? I'll tell you this. One team is gonna win, and it's gonna be a team named Inf.
I guarantee that the first 3 letters of the winning team's name will be INF. You know what? I'll take money on that one. I'll take a bet.
You know what? I'm not going to bet against you on that one. We see the first circle pop as well, and we can see that it's going to head towards the northwest side this time. Basically, half of the teams are going to be outside the first circle, but, you know, it's not going to stop anyone from taking some early fights. We can see once again, of course, a few teams close to each other, but this is going to be the big one. Looks like this time they're going to take it a little bit slower, trying to get a little bit of gear going at least. Well, maybe not if Yukowski is just going to run around. No backpack, no helmet, no armor, no guns. You know, why not? Why not?
Who needs them? Look, when you got skill, you don't need the best weapons. You just need confidence and good aim. And you know what I'm starting to wonder here is, looking at this map, which team is going to be that squad that takes Everest? Because it feels like there's always one in a circle like this that takes Everest in phase 1, then either reaps the rewards and is able to get a huge number of eliminations throughout the game, with just teams pushing onto them, ammo left, right, and center on the ground, or they end up getting stranded at the top of Everest and choked out on rotations. So it looks like Honored Soul's potentially going to be a team that are really in a position to try and take that hill. That's if they opt to do it, though. Cube Compound also being another amazing spot around that area, purely if you're looking to just hold out people from rotating.
Yeah, an accident here in South George, just joining in here, trying to get some loot going. But you know what? Everest might gonna be very empty in this one. Again, a very good spot to play from. So why would people go for it when you can play very bad positions instead? Because a lot of these teams seems to be liking that. At least when we go to Erangel. So far, very quiet game here. I wasn't expecting this at all. Despite us having two teams in Yasnaya as well, they're not willing to fight from the look of things. At least not yet. Sharing that one, we got one INF team on the west, one INF team on the east.
So I will say that whenever we've had an Erangel game with this lobby, we have seen that Yasnaya, the fights don't typically happen. However, as soon as one team makes a move, the other one will try and chase and kind of take shots as they're leaving, which, I mean, look, you would do, wouldn't you? If you're able to pick off an extra point out of it, then why wouldn't you? But yeah, I wouldn't stress too much about Yasnaya. I think that if a fight does kick off, then maybe we have to look at that going forward into future days where these groups are playing against each other. Because, look, if these teams have kind of come to an unwritten agreement here where they say, okay, we'll have this side of Yaz, they can have that side, and we just won't shoot at each other, then one of the teams decides to break that. I feel like there's going to be a taste of salt in the air, and we're going to see some retaliation.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the previous tournaments that we had recently with PNPL Americas and AL Season 5, where basically Influence Rage is always going to be there on the western side, but the other team that used to be on the eastern side in Yasnaya is normally going to be Knights. They're not in here, of course, but they've always shared those two teams. They never fought each other. So because of that, like, it would be Infinity trying to poke a little bit on Influence Rage, if anything. I feel like Influence Rage, they don't really want to take the fight. They usually don't want to take it. They know that, all right, we're not going to benefit too much out of that, especially with a circle like this where we can just rotate in and get ourselves into a good position to play from instead.
Absolutely. Now it does become a bit of a waiting game and kind of looking at the map, trying to predict where the next fight is actually going to be popping off. Obviously, there's a few locations, yet again, that have a huge number of teams clustered. And then you look at places like Gatka's shooting range that are just wide open. The contrast here means that depending on the circle, we're either going to get a very, very slow game where everyone has to rotate their way around and just creep their way in from the edge, or we're going to get a very, very fast game where a bunch of squads are going to be posted up in the middle and all of the other teams that aren't inside of that phase when it shifts are just going to have to try and break their way through.
Looks like we have a little bit of a cluster going on towards Yasnaya now. A few teams have entered the town for no good reason at all. Like, why are you rotating into a town that is outside the circle here in phase 1? But you know what? Nothing makes sense anymore to me. So why would it make sense for any of these teams what they're doing? Axel, trying to get some shots on loops. Not gonna hit too much. You might want to heal up. He doesn't have too much to work with. Only 5 bandages. Oh, found another 5.
It helps. It adds up. Look, it's all health in the end. If you get shot, you're in a position like this. The chance of actually being pushed are pretty slim, so I don't think they really have to worry too much from that front. But as MEZEXIS stream are a little bit spread thin and obviously have been taking damage from a couple of players, I do maybe want to think, how are they going to get out of this one? Because you look down to the south, there's teams. You look up to the north, there's teams. Their only real option to get out of this one is to swing all the way down to the south or wait for another team to move. Which, I mean, look, you always want to be the one making your own fate, not relying on other teams to do something before you can actually start making your strat unfold.
Yeah. All right, Rise in school over here, which is where they normally drop, school and naps. So they got themselves a prime spot where they like to play from. A little bit of a 2-2 split going on already from their side, though. And we're going to have to see if they're going to get punished for it. So far, there's a lot of empty space to play. But if there's anything we know so far from the previous 2 games is that, well, these players, these teams, they love to fight each other on very awkward spots for no good reason at all. Even spots that are basically outside the zone.
That's what I love about this tournament, honestly, is just the way that teams take it, because obviously there's a level of competitiveness that is never going to be taken away. That's always natural when you have a prize pool, but they also have a fairly relaxed attitude to the way of approaching these games in terms of, yeah, you know what, we've got a lot of matches to play. Let's try and have 1 or 2 games where we do something a little bit outside the box that maybe is not the smartest play, but when you take into account the risk-reward factor, can end up being just so beneficial. So it is good when you have a team who's maybe middle of the pack, you know, top middle of the pack, willing to take those risks, willing to take the gamble, reaping the rewards and getting a huge points boost. So I think that's the beautiful thing about this event, is the fact that all of the teams get a bit of freedom to have fun while also being able to compete against some of the best in the world.
Yeah, I gotta agree on that one. We got Circle Pop, and we can see that it's gonna be a hard shift down towards the southwest. This time around, a lot of teams have posted themselves on the northwest side, especially for your team like Z8 that went all the way up to the north of Starboard trying to make a good rotation. I'll tell you what, they're gonna need to keep on moving, and they might even need to find themselves some new vehicles if they want to keep on rotating into the next circle now.
Starting to look like it, because I mean, it's going to be tricky. Once again, we speak about how clustered everyone is, the east of this circle. Sure, everyone's making a move, but you've got to think there's going to be a couple that are just kind of loitering about, maybe a little bit longer than they should be, then end up holding out other squads. Loops have taken some fairly significant damage to their vehicles. They will need to try and salvage some new ones, but look, they're not too far outside of zone. As long as they can get an idea of where the shots are coming from, avoid them, and then make a move, then it can be beneficial. They do find one from Influence Rage, and, well, Chief is there to finish it off, and even more importantly, get themselves a fresh vehicle that isn't damaged.
Hey, and some loot as well. Some loot delivery there from Federal, of course. Rise here, Nunes, together with Gary, is going to try to see if they can find anything by the yellows. Well, I still call them yellows. In my mind, they're still yellows.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm one of those people that's terrible at callouts. I didn't know what a wizard was for about 2 years of playing the game, so I'm not in the position to be given authority on that. I mean, I've been told very aggressively some callouts, and I'm not going to change my mind on that one. But I'll tell you what, if you call out a player in the top room, you know that someone's going to be throwing up a nade into there, and Z8 doing that beautifully. Good teamwork. Sent a nade up, had a player anchor in the doorway just in case he tried to flex out. So just a perfectly executed push there from them.
Yeah, I can't believe that we're this far into the game and we only lost 7 players so far.
You say only like it's hardly any.
Well, this is totally opposite compared to the first Erangel game we saw.
Yeah.
Where basically everybody had just mutual destruction all over the map. It didn't matter where we were. Everyone was congesting to the same 3 spots on the map. But right now, it looks like the teams, they are trying to get themselves into a little bit of a better position to play from. But of course, talking about that, talking about the positions, you talked about Everest, you talked about Orange Souls, and look at that. They've taken it now.
I'm a professional for a reason. What can I say? Perfectly read. I mean, it's not really a surprise, is it? And I think we've maybe even seen Honored Souls go up there yesterday, which might have given me a bit of a hint. But now I think of it, it may have been another team. Look, when Everest is in, there's going to be a team that's willing to take it. When it's a team like Honored Souls who have clearly cleared that northern side out and are now using this so effectively, they can get amazing information going into the next zone. They're going to have reads on so many other teams, and if there is a spot that's free, they're probably going to be the ones that know about it first and are able to make that rotation easiest. As long as they kind of have someone anchoring behind Everest, just watching out in case the compound gets crashed on the way, they should be okay. Granted, it's a bit of a risk, isn't it, having a player laying behind that could easily get spotted out as a solo, but in return for a high prior position, you know, is free, then go for it. But never mind, they don't have to move after all. Everest is center circle. It's one of those zones.
Okay. That is a shift and a half. It's going to make things very rough for a lot of teams. And sure, we might have 56 players alive right now, but that's not going to be the case once this circle has closed down. I'll tell you that, especially with this one. Unless we have basically half of the teams driving into the river and just role-playing some fish games. We're gonna see a lot of people going down on this one. Now, you can see already how many teams are trying to rotate in right now. Basically, everybody's in a vehicle unless you're Influence Rage that is sitting by Cube or Arn Souls that is sitting on top of Everest.
Froz, this is brutal. Everybody is going for ruins right now. There must be about 10 teams all going for the same spot. Rise holding this hillside. They have been able to take down one from Dark Mandrakes, but they're looking for more. There's Nova start the rotation as well. This is surely destined to be an absolute bloodbath. There must be 6 teams now going for ruins, right?
Yeah, probably. I was gonna say, look at this, back to back, still alive and kicking. But as I say that, they go down real quick here to Nova. And that's going to be them out straight away with 0 points. Once again, not on double digits yet.
Not yet. Not yet. One more game to go. I believe that they can get a point out of it. They have to, right? The Casticus.
I don't think they will. You know what? That's going to be the whole thing for today, right? Can they make it to double digits?
Are they
today?
even playing next game? Now I think of it, I don't think so. So yeah, I don't think they can make it to double digits today.
Wait a minute.
I think they're in Group B, right? No, they must be in Group C?
Back to back is in Group...
It's either A or C, I'm certain on that one.
They're in A. That means that... Okay, they're still playing. They're playing the next game as well.
Okay, they've got a chance. I'll hold out my hope for them. Maybe we should talk about this Infinity fight for a second, though, because they're in a pretty rough position. We did get a bit distracted. They haven't been able to find themselves an elimination out of it, and now down to just 2 players, with loops starting to close in, is not ideal. And you might not be able to tell on the map, but it's not just loops. There are so many teams working in towards this position. You can see MEZEXIS Dreams over onto the north. There are more players down to the south. Obviously, a bunch of teams over in Ruins, as we mentioned already, but as it stands, I don't see Loops getting ultra aggressive on this unless Toyko is able to get an initial knock.
It looks like they're not going to be peeking. Actually, Cardozi goes down straight away, so Lux does find himself a point on the board there. Going for the next one, it's going to be Fran from ATON. He's going to join back up to his teammates. Took a few hits on the vehicle, though. That one might be a little bit low when it comes to the health on it. Now, oh my god, that's a circle. Well, we saw a lot of teams diving straight into ruins in the previous circle. Now we understand why. This is where we're heading in the next one as well.
I love this zone because there is like one really big hillside with lots of like turns on it, so it still provides a lot of little ridges for teams to work with. MEZEXIS Dreams, though, they're just going to be working out of the trenches instead. You can see shots coming in from behind, so they do have to get down low, but the rest of the team are there to support, and they know Loops are over the other side. Chief has fallen, as you can see the revive attempt coming out. Marco looking to deny it, but not quite able to connect, as now MEZEXIS Dreams going for the heals, but still being cautious of behind, because I mean, when you've got a position like this in Ruins, when so many teams have rotated, you cannot give it away, and you cannot be giving away shots like that, as Demeanor is there to take down 2. Sure, one player was traded. Jerry with the M249 shouldn't have to go for the reload just yet, but he hasn't been able to land the bullet. The nade does. Chief is out of it, so's Demeanor. It's all onto Toyko, and he is pinched.
And he's not really in a good position to play from either. We're just going to have to wait and see if he's going to be able to make anything happen. We can see that Infinity is still by the yellows next to Toyko there. And at the same time, Mandrakes are trying to rotate a little bit further in over there. But so far, Toyko is still alive, still kicking. And yeah, we're getting further here. Still 13 teams alive, though. Considering this circle, like, I'm surprised.
I cannot believe it, and I gotta think that number's gonna drop soon when you see over at compounds like this where EXG are just completely pinched, but still and aggressive. I mean, QUESO there nearly lost 1 player just off of that 3x spray, but he's able to remain in it as they continue firing. QUESO with 2 players off to the side. Fabrico should, in all reality, be completely pinched right now, and in the end he is, but credit to him for being able to not only survive that long, but do a lot of damage and get some decent knocks.
Sadly, they go out on 13th place, so that means no placement points for them at all. But, yeah, it was a rough one for them for sure. At the same time, though, looking at the map, You can see on the north side, it looks like we have a little bit of a fight between Infamous Rage and Z8. And MANDRAKES, they tried to get in, they couldn't make it, and they are out as well. And one by one, the teams are falling real quick right now as the circle is shrinking down real fast. And I mean, there's just so much place for so many teams to play in here.
All it takes here is Sheev to throw out one well-placed nade and WARMASTER are done. They do get the heal off just in time. Reek are going to be going down to the zone. Yet again, though, denying points. Is it worth it to tank this much blue damage? We'll find out if Mazzy makes it, because one bullet is going to be enough to finish him off, especially as the zone closes in and people get closer and closer together. Pull it up just anywhere he can find cover, but realizing there's a team behind, Influence Rage up ahead. Surely it's got to be over for Mazzy, right?
He just lost another half of his life there, chunking away from that crash into that rock. But he's going down into the water. All right, that's going to keep him alive. But then a second after that, he just saw, all right, wait a minute. The circle just went away from me. What do I do now?
Get swimming. That's all I can say. Get swimming, dry off, and get crawling, just the way that Toyko is doing right now, because he knows exactly where these players are. Hasn't been able to take anything towards them, but has heard the noise. His teammates have taken damage from them, so he knows exactly what he's up against. MEZEXIS stream just waiting on the edge of zone. They have the luxury of just being able to kind of hop their way in here. They're just on the edge. They don't really have to expose themselves too much. QUESO, on the other hand, are really in a tricky position. Very open. They lose one and likely going to lose some more if Rise keep putting up this fire, as Emmett just taking shots through the smoke just to try and find any damage. And unfortunately for him, it isn't working now.
No, he's going to be careful as well. He shot the buggy a little bit, and we saw that it was already smoking as well. He's actually going to be taken down by Rafinha straight after that. And now, QUESO down to 2 members up, and they're having a rough time because east of them, of course, we saw that Rise were located, but north of them as well, in the houses, you have Noah just holding it down, looking down towards Mona here, one of the 2 remaining players from QUESO, together with Nitsu, trying to work their way in. They might actually be able to get a revive. I'll take that back. Yunus takes another one. Nitsu now, last man standing here. 2 knocked friends straight in front of him, but what can you do? The circle is pushing as well. No way he's going to stick this revive. Nunes coming in with a nade. Is he going to hit it? Come on. Oh, it might be a triple here. Is he good?
3 players in one position? Surely
he missed.
not.
Wait, what was he throwing? Oh, there's a lot of smokes down, but now there's only 2 smokes. That's going to make things easier. Nunes going to spray straight in and get Nitsu. Now, again, QUESO down to 1 player standing. Nunes takes a lot of damage, so from the side, Shifan is going to take him down.
Nova there to provide the support as Rin tries to look out to take those SLR shots, not having too much success. You can see Shifan wants to continue throwing util over as the smokes are there. 1 bullet needed to land on Talia to find the kill, but more importantly, Emmett is down and out of the fight for good.
What is going on? Like, QUESO keeps on getting 1 member up before they're getting knocked back down, but they are still standing. Shifan does get taken down as well, though. Now, Lukaku here from Z8. He's trying to find something to work with, but he's getting tagged from the side here. Still alive and kicking, though, so far, but maybe not for much longer. Shifan getting pushed here by Rise. What can he do?
Oh, he peeks the window, goes for the hip fire, but nothing landing. And now Rise have all of the info. He switches to the M4, but honestly, at that point, when there are 2 players, both with UMPs at that kind of range, you don't stand a chance. Credit for being able to get some placement points, and of course, those eliminations out of it for Nova, but not going to be making it through much further. You can see U-Boy looking out to try and find any info, just standing on the vehicle, the rock, anything he can to get that elevation as Honored Souls just plow Lukaku into the ground just to make sure he's certainly out of it for sure. Honored Souls taking this hillside, but honestly, Froz, it's a very gradual slope, isn't it? Which tends to put you at a bit of a risk from teams down below, which seemingly they haven't cleared out yet.
Yeah, I mean, if I were them, I would crash into the houses and try to take the first out house, and then you work your way in from there. But they are opting to play here in the open instead. Of course, they are not inside the next circle yet, and they're going to push it by intense game. Did you find the first knock? R2 is going to be traded straight away. On the other hand, MEZEXIS is trying to find a few knocks there on loops as well. Does find Toiko, so that's going to be loops out on 6th place. But look at how many people are alive right now. It is only 13 people alive, and Rice and MEZEXIS, they got free each, and then there's just solos up right now.
Oh, that nade was so close to landing onto IG right there, but it wasn't quite enough. You can even see Gui Boy just looking out, waiting for someone to make that peek over the top. As Molotovs land close to intense game. That shows just how intense this game is getting when there's mollies quite that close. Brera was down, but has been brought back into it, as now Pedrinho peeks up, takes him down, but this has surely given Rise a lot of info, and they should be able to find this elimination. Down he goes. It's all down to Arta as the final player left for his team, but on low health. It's just going to come down to trying to outlast as many others as possible. Z8 are out of it, so at least he makes it into the top 5, but the question is how much further?
Question is how many kills is Rice going to be able to get? They got, what, 13 eliminations on the board. Make that 14, I think. After taking out Paja as well from Intense Game. And then we're down to the top 2 now. It's going to be Rice versus MEZEXIS. They had 3 each alive on the team, but MEZEXIS does have 1 knocked, and they're getting pushed by the blue. Looks like this is going to be an easy W here for Rise with 14 eliminations on the board. Looks to get 3 more and make it to 17 before they grab that chicken dinner.
Jerry going to be out of it for good now, but Axel has given away the position in the attempt to take down Nunez. Going to be popping the first aid. A bold move with this amount of time left, but as Rise have the zone, they realize that it's on Axel to be the one to make the push. As Gary blows up the vehicle, we'll be finishing off 1, and it is down to, as you mentioned, a 1 versus 2. Axel playing this so slowly, but there's a part of me that just thinks at this point, send it. Hope that you can surprise them. Hope that you can just get out quick enough to land a couple shots, then take it as more of a strategic 1v1.
The thing is, Axel is going to get pushed by the zone. He's outside. Of course, Gary's outside as well, but Axel needs to push in before Gary needs to, and Gary got the cover to work with. And you can see here, he's just waiting. He's just looking around. He knows that Axel is out there somewhere, just not completely sure exactly where. On the other hand, you have Rafinha holding down a little bit further back there, trying to get some other angles. And you can see here, Axel, oh, okay, he got the high ground. If he can come around and get a knock on Gary, we might got a game on our hands.
Look at this as well, trying to jump as quietly as possible, but it seems like Gary has heard the clues, knows that there's somebody about. Axel opens up. Now he's taken down 1, looking to follow it up with a second. It is down to a 1 versus 1. Rafinha still has the 4x scope, though, on that M4, which is oh so powerful. As he repositions to move back to the drop, tries to take a couple shots instead. Axel tries to trade it, but to no avail. Is this just a case of popping them towards the tree now? Axel flushes out onto another 3x M4 in hand, pre-firing the left-hand side as often as possible, but it doesn't work out, and Rafinha comes out on top. Rise Esports, better late than ever, showing up and hopefully making a significant jump on that standings.
Finally getting himself that chicken dinner on board. 1 by 1, we're getting new teams here, getting himself that chicken dinners on board, but they're also getting a lot of eliminations on top of that. This time, it's going to be Rise Esports with 17 eliminations, so 32 points. You can see, there's a big gap from the first to second already.
I mean, what MEZEXIS streams were able to get there was like an average game. Like, that was a good game. Rise to be able to get what my caster math isn't very good, but I'm gonna say 14 more points than the team below them was absolutely huge in the space of 1 match. That's basically an entire chicken dinner just in point differential. So really impressive to see from Rise there, and we mentioned them so much since day 1. They're a team that came into this with high expectations that have continually under-delivered. This is the performance we were expecting every game from them, so hopefully they can make a change. Let's take a look down at the bottom half of the leaderboard, though, see how things look down there.
Another 3 zeros here in the bottom, and one of them is a very familiar name, of course. We're not gonna mention them, but they are called back-to-back. So if you look further up though, we have Influence Rage, of course, on 9th place there with 4 points. A few points on the board, but still, again, we are expecting a little bit more from them. And same with ATON there on 10th place, but you know, this is how it goes sometimes. The cookie crumbles like this, and we just keep on moving on because we have one more game to go here tonight.
I mean, what I find really interesting about back-to-back, which is a bit of an interesting bit of just useless knowledge, is they're actually named after how many games they get 0 points in a row.
Oh, yeah. That is true, actually. Wait, that means they're going to get a point next time, though. Because they were back-to-back 0 now, so... Right.
Double digits, maybe?
Ooh,
finally.
Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Again... team stats here on Rise Esports. He got himself that chicken dinner, 17 eliminations, a lot of damage on the board. But let's be honest though, we saw them fight a lot there, and it was cutting way too close towards the end. It should have been an easy W when we saw how they were pushing out. But they were making it real close here in the last fight.
Can we take a moment to appreciate the fact that Rise have the top 3 damage from that match, and also the top 2 in terms of eliminations? And technically, if you think about it, I'm going to say top 3 because Mufasa's got 3 and he's tied with Mono for 3rd in terms of elims.
Yeah, they should have put him up there instead. But, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. I mean, Rafinha with 8 kills, I guess it is really good to see, right? But again, though, we do have MVP. Who do you think is going to be the MVP? Might it be Rafinha with the 8 eliminations? Of course it's going to be him. And over 1,000 damage. They only play it with over 1,000 damage so far tonight, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't talk about the MVP too much because there isn't really a standout performance a lot of the time. But when you get one player who has 8 eliminations, you just can't ignore something like that. So impressive. A huge amount of damage to go with it and barely taking any in return. It just shows that Rafinha was able to put himself in the best possible positions to take those fights. So really, really impressive. Let's maybe take a look at the overall standing and see how things have been affected by that match. And obviously, Rise's meteoric win, I think it's fair to say, compared to what we've seen in the past from them over the previous few days.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, here towards the top, not too much have changed. Everything's kind of just a stalemate right now. It also comes down to how close it is between all of those teams, and none of them had quite an outstanding game because it was down to basically MEZEXIS and Rise that was further down. So if we take a look on a little bit further down here on the leaderboard, we can see some of those teams. MEZEXIS down there on 14th place right now, and Rise finally rising up here on the leaderboard.
And significantly as well, all the way up to 12th place. Now, we should bear in mind they have got 12 matches played. I'm not sure whether they are going to be playing in the next match, so we may expect to see them drop, especially when you take into account the fact they're tied with WARMASTER. MEZEXIS Dream are only 1 point below, and sure, there's a bit of a drop to Nova and ATON, but it's not too significant. Let's take a look down at the very bottom of the leaderboard, though, because obviously we do have 24 teams taking part, so there is still a whole other 8 teams below ATON. Let's take a look down there and see how things are currently stacking up. Back to back, still not quite in double digits, but honestly, the kind of top half of the bottom third is still looking quite competitive.
It is for sure. Now down here, it's quite competitive as well. To not be or to be in the bottom 4, I guess. They keep on being down there, some of these teams, and they still have. Okay, let's be honest though. You look at Intense Game on 20th place. They have a good amount of points down to Korean Barbecue Lovers. And we also saw Korean Barbecue Lovers having a great game earlier. But despite that, they're still down there. And it's basically them and BULUC CHABTAN just fighting each other on 21st and 22nd place right now.
Can't be affording to take fights like that, unfortunately. When you're down at the bottom of the leaderboard, scrapping it out constantly with one other team is not the way to go. Hopefully those teams will learn that lesson before our final match of the evening, or maybe even more exciting, maybe they won't. Sanhok coming up next in just a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere.
VOT International stock plummets as shocking truth is revealed about using Compound V to make superheroes. Reports show unusual trading may indicate foul play, with some investors earning huge profits off the steep downturn.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Snapdragon Conquest Masters. We are 3 games in tonight, and usually I'd be announcing that we still have 2 more left, but obviously we're playing 4 games tonight, 2 Erangel, and now our final Sanhok match. I feel sorry for you, Froz, because I hyped up these Sanhok matches to have so much action, and the last one was maybe more disappointing than our Erangel games.
You know what? The last Sanhok game, it felt like we were on Miramar, basically. That's how slow it went. But maybe things will turn around. That's kind of the thing here tonight, right? You never know what's going to happen. It's impossible to read what the players are thinking. I mean, you can see how they're playing it out as well. It just looks weird.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, I'm starting to wonder if there is actually any order to the way that the teams are playing tonight, or whether they have realized, arguably yet again from all those Sanhok games we played yesterday, that sometimes there is something to be said for just going in there and playing off your instinct. Because if you are just playing purely off of instinct and not necessarily setting up strategies, then sometimes there's the argument that, okay, well, nobody's going to be able to predict it if you're not repeating the same strategies.
That is true, actually. That is very true. But at the same time, when we come to Sanhok, a lot of times I feel like it's not about reading your opponents. It's more about positioning yourself where you can actually survive long enough to get some placement points on board and hopefully get some eliminations on top of that. Because it's just kind of a wild card in the end. This is Sanhok after all, and Sanhok is all about snakes and third parties.
Let's hop into our final game of the evening. Sanhok, snakes, third parties, explosions, shots. What else can we expect?
Slow pace start, I guess.
We'll see.
Exactly what we don't expect normally, but you know, here tonight, everything is like in the down, like everything's just upside down basically. I don't know what's going on here tonight. It's just weird. Everything's just weird, and it's just been weirder.
Absolutely. Don't forget to keep an eye on this match, because it will be our penultimate game for the night, 4th and final match. Of course, powered by Snapdragon Official. Make sure to follow them on Instagram and Twitter, and get yourself a Snapdragon phone if you really do want to play PUBG Mobile at the highest quality.
Hey, that is for sure. You're gonna need that Snapdragon in your phone if you want to be able to play it as smooth as possible. And right now, I'm gonna take a guess here and say that every single player here in this plane right now, they got themselves a Snapdragon in their phone, and that's why it's going so well for them. Or well, maybe there's one team that doesn't have it. You could take a guess on which team I'm pointing at.
I wonder. Or they're so busy multitasking on it, doing other things. That's the reason they're in dead last. Anyway, look, it's Sanhok, isn't it? I mean, the plane path doesn't have too much effect, but I guess this is exactly what you would have hoped for, wouldn't it? Everyone can get exactly where they need to go, and we're not going to have any areas that are cut off or even hard to rotate to.
Yeah, well, of course, we got the first circle popping, and the Southwest Island is at least out of play, so that's gonna shake things up a little bit compared to the previous game. But it looks like we're gonna have ourselves a little fighting cow, maybe. Ooh, even in boot camp, look at this, back to back. Are they gonna be able to get himself 1 more point on the board, or are they gonna be taking out a rough play here real quick? We'll have to wait and see. Alpha 7 making a push. It's gonna be the first one down on back to back. Looks like it's gonna be a back to back to back, a 0-point game for them.
Yikes. I mean, what more can you say? I mean, granted, they've still got players left, so J-Money could try and make something happen here, but it seems like Alpha 7 have the read. Mafioso, though, is going to be fully flashed, but somehow isn't eliminated himself. He's going for the jump shot, will end up being able to take down J-Money with the support of Swagwin. I mean, back-to-back, I don't know what is going on with them right now, whether they're just trolling, but this is a mess, to put it politely.
You know, just to add up to that mess, the last player from back-to-back, J-Way, is going to be over here, just a little bit east or north of Painan, by himself, not doing anything. Well, you know, maybe he's going to be able to get that one elimination, just one, to put the team on double digits. It's not that much we're asking for here. Just one elimination. Let's see if they can make that happen.
The problem is, as much as I want it to happen, I also don't want it to, because they don't deserve it. That's exactly what you deserve, playing as a solo out in Painan. Down he goes. Luke's get a free point out of it. They're not going to be complaining. Yeah, back-to-back, out in dead last, not able to get past double digits after what I believe is now 13 matches played. So their average point is pretty terrible. Lucky, though, he's going to try and boost ATONs with that DBS, but it looks like he was spotted out, so going to be forced to take the shots a little bit earlier. Will be able to connect onto one. Down goes Byrod as he looks for a second. He's on low HP. 1 or 2 bullets from those UMPs will be enough to finish the job, but if he lands the jump shot with that DBS, it could be detrimental. BULUC CHABTAN in the end finish off the job, getting all 4 eliminations and getting that 4th back up into the fight.
Well, that's going to be 2 teams out already. If you ask for a quick game, this might be the one that you're looking for. So far, 2 teams out, and we have more fights going on, actually, just on the north side by Cow right now. Meanwhile, WARMASTERs, they are, well, trying to make sure that they get a few more points on the board, because they definitely need them. But they're having a little bit of a rough time here tonight. So far, over by Camp Bravo here on the eastern side, there's no one else but them. So they should be able to survive for now. Alpha 7, Mafioso goes down to Vitaly. And, okay. This is just by boot camp. So we have another team here now. Actually, INCO has a very big split. Vitaly is out here by himself. The rest is still on the southwestern side. We can see that they're rotating in now on a vehicle, 2 of them. So a little bit of backup. But Victor is still by Tam Bang as well. So 3 players over here on INCO. See if they can find Carrillo. He's being stationed out here. He's going to get that first knock. And first straight away, putting those points on the board. Mafioso's back up on his feet as well. And now it looks like the table has turned.
Carrillo looking out to try and land that nade. It certainly seems to head the right direction. Not sure whether it'll go the distance. Yes, it will. Now it's time to follow up with a couple more into the FPP view. Wants to make the most out of it. Down goes one. And Etembe is out for the time being. No chance again the revive, as now he is completely flushed out. Becker's trying to get away, but Revo is there and says goodbye and good night. INCO just getting ripped apart from the top of the lobby to now sliding consistently down to the bottom, or at least lower down. You've got to think that the passive play style maybe isn't working as well anymore. Maybe it is time to consolidate up as a 4-man, start pushing through and taking fights rather than just trying to get into a position to avoid them.
Been a rough one for sure for them. Wait to last man standing here. He does have 8 first aids, and look at what he's doing right now. It looks like he's going to try to find some more first aids and try to go for the heal strat to be able to accumulate a few points on the board for the team itself. As we can see, the nations, they are in 6th place overall, and the damage at 5th. It's not bad statistically, but it's all working out so far here tonight, at least. And all right, taking a look at the map, we do have, I'd say, a decent spread on the teams. Some of them are getting a little bit closer to each other, but it's just the first circle. It's just the first circle. So
It definitely feels like now as well. Sorry to interrupt. It definitely feels like now as well, that southern side around Quarry, due to the location of like where the teams that aren't inside circle are, that will provide them a really nice path to actually get into zone and almost make sure that we have even distribution throughout the entire zone rather than having what we've had in previous matches where it's 5 teams fighting in one area and then complete openness on the other side. So that Quarry opening could end up working perfect for the teams down to the south, down towards Sanmi, Charlie, Docks, that kind of area. So really good, and hopefully that'll mean that the pressure cooker gets to go a little bit longer without kicking off, and we can maybe get to phase 2 before any real big team-on-team fights that lead to a third-party chain reaction, which we're just so used to on this map.
Yeah, I mean, definitely with this circle itself, like it's not necessary for teams to fight each other. You should be able to scout things out and like you don't even risk it too much. Like you get to a compound, you see that it's safe, there's no one there. You could stop there and just like, all right, let's wait for the next circle before we make a move, because right now we're sitting safe here. We have cover to work with, and we can basically catch another team off guard if they try to rotate into us. But what we keep on seeing is that the teams are getting a little bit more greedy and greedier all the time. They're trying to move further in towards the center, trying to put themselves into a better position. But a lot of the times when they do that, that's also what's costing them a player or two, maybe even them getting wiped out straight away from this game.
Yeah, it's a rough one, isn't it? Lucas just kind of chilling on his own right now. I think he maybe has an idea that Korean barbecue lovers were swimming past but couldn't quite land any shots, or it's the option that GZM are intentionally laying low here, knowing that Korean barbecue lovers are swimming round, and then waiting for them to actually move out of this compound when the time comes. Storm Gaming, 7, he's just going to be boosting up. I think he realizes that they have quite a run to make here, so they got to get boosted up pretty quick. Not to forget, though, all those teams down on the south still a huge amount of distance that they need to cover, and Lukaku's vehicle is going to be causing a bit of noise that Storm should be able to hear out.
Yep, and okay, Romulozin is going to drive out here. Not sure what the plan is. He drove away from the circle into the blue to station up on the high ground. Looks like they might be looking for this fight then, I guess.
I think I'm past trying to analyze these games.
Right?
Honestly, like with the way that things are going now, it's just some of the stuff just isn't making sense. Storm did take this aggressively, by the way. I believe it was Lukaku that got knocked, and now they are going to try and push up. I can't help but notice as well, Romelu on Storm Gaming, then Lukaku on the other side. It can't be a coincidence. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
I just realized that a lot of non-football fans are not going to get that reference, so we'll just leave it.
All right. Well, at least that's probably where he got his name from, though. Let's be honest. He's a big Lukaku fan.
He must be. He must be. As clearly Romelu is not, as he finishes off the job, and Storm get themselves only the first point on the board for them. That's not ideal. I mean, they have such a long way to go. You've got to think that at this point, Z8 and them are just going to have to end up fighting, not necessarily because they can't make it in, just because what's the point if you're going to be tanking so much blue damage? You're likely just going to have to resort to a heal strat sooner or later when you're this far outside of zone. You may as well just go and take a fight if you hear a team nearby.
Yeah. And, all right. Looks like Z8 is going to try to keep on moving into the circle now. They lost some players. They're saying, all right, this was not worth it. You know, what's done is done. And right now we see a lot of teams, they are putting themselves into a better position. It is getting a little bit more congested though, and most of them, except for V2 from INCO, is going to be on the main island. V2, of course, last man standing for INCO, is going to take the advantage of no one being on the western side right now, and he can maybe survive for a bit, and maybe with some luck he'll even get the next circle on top of him and make sure that he can survive for a little bit longer.
Certainly have to hope so, as You can see just how open that area around those warehouses ends up being. You have to be careful when the rotate comes, but at least for now, the circle hasn't popped, so they don't have to worry about moving. The biggest concern here for us, in my opinion, is that this zone goes hard to the west, because Hatin, any of that island has nothing on it, and obviously having a huge river down the middle would be so awkward and take out a huge chunk of land so early on.
Yeah, 100%. And all right. This is this game has slowed down a little bit. We had a little bit more aggression there towards the start. Now it feels like the team is they're feeling it out. They're saying, okay, wait. Have we thrown away that many games already? Is it time to make sure that we get a few more points on the board? Carrillo shooting at basically nothing right now. And keeps on shooting at it. All right.
I mean, look, he's popping the tires. I'll give him that. He's popping tires. He's denying the vehicle. So it's something. Even if you gotta wonder, like, okay, how much ammo and util and info are you giving away just to pop a tire here? It's
Sanhok. Like the vehicles doesn't even matter. But you know what, Carrillo, he might just want those tire pop stats. I guess he's doing a real damn good job on it, I guess. That's for sure. That's for sure. But we got a new circle on our hands. Let's see where it's gonna go. All right, it's gonna go on the main island, and V2 is getting a little bit of a visit here soon from Z8 on the western side here. Let's see if he's gonna be able to make it.
I would absolutely love this to kind of end about where Alpha 7 are right now and about on this hillside, or maybe even in between here and Paradise. It's such a beautiful area of terrain, isn't it? With all those hillsides that you have to try and navigate up, the trees, the rocks just there for cover, trying to dodge and weave your way up there would be such an exciting endgame. But at the same time, it is also so barren. So if you don't know it well, if you aren't getting into those positions early, it will be brutal. And I think that's kind of a theme in this area of the map, just because every single road in this circle, by the looks of things, is pretty much a valley that teams can shoot into you from.
Oh yeah. And the circle is getting smaller indeed, so it's quite interesting to see how the teams are setting themselves up right now. We see a lot of teams that are actually splitting up way more than I expect them to do. Like when it comes down to Sanhok and it comes down to a circle like this, what you normally see is that a lot of teams, they would kind of just put themselves into one house or maybe just one compound itself. But if you look at the teams, a lot of them are displaying between two compounds. They're trying to be a little bit greedy, trying to take over a full town by themselves. Or if you're like intense game, you're just going to try to take over Paradise Resort all by yourself. It's a huge one to cover, and people can basically come in pretty easily on that one as well. So I'm quite surprised that they are holding that down, but at the same time, no one kind of wants to go into Paradise because of how hard it is to hold down and how many spots there is for people hiding.
I want to talk about a concept, but it's one of those that you kind of need a big drawing board to show off here, but I'll do my best to explain it while we just watch this GZM fight. I like to think of these roads on Sanhok, especially around this area, kind of like a fence in the terms of you can't really cross over it once everyone's been put in position. So you have to kind of separate stuff based on the roads into little dividing sections of where you're going to be able to get through, and just based purely off of that theory of kind of chopping everything into zones based on the road, the objectively most powerful position and the one that's got the highest likelihood of actually getting the zone would be taking that Paradise Resort chunk. So I really have to favor the teams that are inside Paradise or even looped who are a little bit lower than it, just because they aren't going to have to, or they are less likely to have to make one of those major crosses with a bunch of teams going alongside them.
All right. I kind of agree to that. That's actually pretty good, what you're talking about. But at the same time, though, crossing the roads, it's a difficult task when it comes to Sanhok. But at the same time, if you do it properly, you do the scouting properly, you use your utilities, I'm talking about smokes properly as well, it's not that hard to cross a road. But at the same time, it depends how you're trying to cross it.
I think it's that western road that really draws my attention, isn't it? Just because of how open it is. I mean, you can see on Vivo Key's screen, for instance, the kind of openness in these areas of the map. Yeah. Like, it really is demonstrated well. But Vivo Key, they are going to be making a push over this ridge, looking to take a fight. Now, they need to be careful because they are kind of running into the middle of GZM right here, that final player left up. So they may think this compound's free, but little do they know there is a little snake in the grass just waiting to bite those ankles.
Ooh, look at this, McGrelling. He's taking the shots. Oh, one more bullet.
Oh, no.
All right. It's okay. It's okay. They're still inside a circle. They got himself a good position to play from. Now, BULUC CHABTAN that he was shooting towards is going to be one of the teams that is on the north side that needs to cross this road, basically, to make sure they can get inside the next circle. So they're up with a hell of a task right now. The one that you were talking about, crossing the roads. And it's not looking good for them right now. They have not done this properly that I was talking about. They're taking one of the worst positions to do it at. Looks like they're going to get away with it. Meanwhile, Storm taking out WARMASTER. Oh, never mind. I'll take it back. M2M taking out McGrelling. Ooh, Hulk. Finding some Korean barbecue lovers over here.
See if Hulk can show his strength this time with the UMP.
Oh, that's a naughty spot. No way. Oh, wait.
Oh, never mind. I thought that was it then. I thought he had that angle underneath the building, was going to be able to arch it, but no. In the end, unfortunately not. Adrian, though, might actually be able to third party on this. Don't forget, Vivo Key still have a 4-man, and they are basically set up in a firing line right now. If you look over at the minimap, they are spread to get every angle possible on this.
And Korean barbecue lovers need to leave this compound. They need to move in towards Vivo Key to make sure that they get inside the next circle. So that is also a hard task right now. They still probably have a few utilities in their bag. We haven't seen them fight too much. They rotated on the western side earlier. So hopefully they have some more to work with. But it looks like Zelix is going to be down for the count here. Loops, Toiko. Toiko with a 3x here, okay. It's not often you see Toiko with a scope. He is what we call the red dot god. Usually a red dot is all he needs to do some wonderful work. Talent from Black Dragons going down, and it's only Nicholas left right now. He's trying to push up. All right, Molotov in his hand. Have to wait and see if he can do anything with that one. But
this is so brutal for us. I mean, we are just switching back and forth right now, just not even able to stay on a single fight because there is that much action going on. I mean, I mentioned Loop's position early, didn't I? With how strong it was actually looking. This zone may have actually turned that around. I say that. Never mind. Black Dragons, what was that? Beautiful spray before going down themselves. As I mentioned, though, this zone might have turned that position around because the downside to what they're working is they do have a massive hill next to them that, granted, they have some line of sight up, but not amazing cover. So they are going to need to try and get away from this compound while also clearing out behind, and it's going to be a very tricky one to pull off. However, they've got Cardozo in the front, so the rest of the squad, as long as they focus on anchoring and Cardozo and doesn't get too aggressive and greedy, they should be able to just about find themselves an entrance. And honestly, looking at the minimap, Vivo Key need to close things up pretty quick right now. With how spread they are, it could open BULUC CHABTAN up to just run right in the middle of them.
Diego is very far out right now, and he's not going to have a lot of help being all the way out there. But look at that new circle. The Loops is going to get it on top of them, basically, to get a win intense game. But it's like Igor is going to go down straight away, and Vivo Key, they are going to try to make a push for this. Adrian is going to go down on the south side by himself versus Z8, though. See if he can take care of them. So Vivo Key right now fighting on all sides basically of this circle. BULUC CHABTAN did make it in on the north side, but they have a hard task making it in right now. You can see how stacked it is right now, how small the circle is. Despite that, we still have 18 players alive.
Oh, Diego just sneaking up over the top as Paige looking out to try and land some of his own. It's going to be Cello in the end to finish off the job. That's just opened up Loop severely. They've got 2 players down right now. Vivo Keyed have the 4. If they see it in the elimination feed, they're certainly going to start pushing out. Diego takes down 1, looking for 1 remaining player, but has no idea. Needs to be so careful of the crossfire now, just out in the open, this player, but he has no idea. In the end, Paige is taken down by BULUC CHABTAN. There are 14 eliminations on the board here for Vivo Key. They are stacking up the points, but they are in trouble. The INCO solo, V2 from behind, takes down 1 before being eliminated himself. Down they go in 6th position, followed closely by the Drakes in 5th. 4 teams now remain, but BULUC CHABTAN taking some real casualties.
Go on, Diego. He found 1. He's looking for more. Adrian was knocked. I'd say one of the star players from Vivo Keyed. Same time after time being one of the MVPs. Now he put down 7 eliminations on the board so far. So, of course, they want to keep him back up. But looking at things, we're down to 2 teams. And wait a minute. BULUC CHABTAN is dead. So 7 is the last man standing. He's just meeting outside. All right. Let's, you know what? I'm going to call it and say that Vivo Keyed is going to win this one. You want to bet against me?
I think I'll go with you there. I think the Vivo Keyed might just have this in the bag, but we can't neglect as well quite how many eliminations they've been able to get, because we are, by the looks, things gonna have to fill a bit more time, because 7 maybe doesn't realize he's in the top 2, so he's just grabbing every first aid he can and spamming it, even though he's nowhere near the zone.
Can he stop delaying the game already? You've done the work already. Okay, he's down
still got 5 more.
4 more after this one. Hopefully, he's not finding more. Hopefully.
Now we just see if he mistimes
all
of them.
He found more.
If he runs out of first aid here, or if he like mistimes a first aid or accidentally cancels, we just can't let him live it down. And there's another loot box as well.
Don't find more.
We might hit the half-hour mark at this rate.
We'll have to wait and see. But it looks like he's gonna run out. I don't see any more dead bodies around him. Oh, that's a smoking car. That's not gonna have any first aids, and he's gonna be out here.
Oh, there's a body right in front of him.
Oh no.
He's found another one. Of course he has. I don't think that one had first aids, though, because you could see there were already bandages on the floor, so I think that's probably a giveaway. We should point out, look, me and Imperium talk about this quite a lot, is that the heal strat should never be your goal, but it should always be a backup plan that you're not afraid to use.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we see there from Storm. They were able to get 6 eliminations that match, and they grabbed themselves 2nd place out of it. Really, really impressive game, but it was Vivo Keyed that stole the show with a huge number of eliminations from start to finish. But honestly, when they got into that compound that was northwest of the zone, it felt like the game was theirs to lose.
Oh yeah, 100%. But they had full control over it, basically. We saw them, of course, on the northwestern side there. And they, on top of that, they got the shrinks on top of them. They played that super well. They knew exactly what to do. I mean, Vivo Keyed, they are one of the best teams coming out from the Brazilian region for a reason. They know exactly what they're doing. And look at that. Once again, I think this is 2nd or 3rd time in a row that we've seen 32 points and then down to 18. Now, 3rd place in the last game was 14 points, so 1 more point this time for 3rd place.
What I am starting to like here, though, is just how many teams that have maybe slept for the first few days and haven't delivered as much as we'd hoped have started delivering. Look at BULUC CHABTAN for some reason. I think they were in like... They weren't in the top 16 coming into the first day that I casted, which I believe was day number 2. So to be able to have growth like this and start putting points on the board is so impressive. Let's take a look down at the bottom half, though, because obviously when there's that many points taken at the top, you know there's going to be a lack of them at the bottom. Back-to-back still with the donut, but joining them for this match are going to be WARMASTER and ATON, as well as GCM.
All right, yeah, that's a big surprise to see ATON down there on a big fat 0. A team who won PMPL in their region, in Latin region. So coming out here, Graham getting himself 0 points. Sure, it might be an outliner of a game, but what we've seen so far from them has not been holding up to what we want to see from them. But here we go, Vivo Keyed with team stats, as we're talking about, 17 eliminations, a lot of damage on the board, very little healing, but that once again comes down to how we're playing this out, how smart we're playing out the whole game basically.
I mean, look, they had a really impressive position up in that northwestern side. It's not a surprise that they haven't really been challenged too much in it, and they had free reign to really do whatever they wanted. As we take a look over at the top eliminations, of course, Vivo Key'd have every single player up there.
Yeah, I mean, we're not surprised to see that, but also not surprised to see Adrian towards the top as well. But again, it is very nice to see the full team up there. That's not every day that you get to see that. And it's a joy to see that. It kind of shows you it's not just one man doing all the wonderful work here for the team, but everybody is putting a little bit of effort in there to make sure that they get all of those eliminations going.
Absolutely, it's team game at the end of it all. Let's move forward and take a look at what we have to look forward to, because I mean, the way that tonight has unfolded was so impressive. Now looking over at how the overall ranking has been affected, it's getting intense. I think it's fair to say there are teams that have stood nowhere near the top that are now making it into the top 8, and teams that maybe we expected to start slipping that have just grown their lead further.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we got ourselves a new leader here. It's going to be Vivo Kid after that big, huge chicken dinner on the board. But at the same time, Influence Rage and Team QUESO has one less played game. Influence Rage is only 3 points behind Vivo Kid right now. So I'm expecting them tomorrow to actually take back that throne from Vivo Kid. But that remains to see. If we keep on moving down here on the leaderboard, though, we're going to see some familiar names and some of the teams that has been able to put up and rack up a lot more points here today. Basically, they've underperformed earlier, but now they're starting to look like that they are getting back into shape. Teams like Black Dragons, Rise Esports, and Nova Esports. But ATON on 16th place, short. They went out with a big fat 0-pointer here in the previous game. I expect to see them further up. And, of course, we still have 8 more teams to go. 8 more teams here on the overall ranking. The last 8 teams, and towards the bottom, still no double digits here for back-to-back chunks.
I believe that tomorrow it will happen. It has to, right? They've come so far. just get some points, please. I mean, honestly, I just feel like if you're going to kind of throw away games so easily, almost what's the point in playing? It feels like I want to see them work hard, and I want to see them not give up. I want to see them with 4 players in every game for a change tomorrow, because that's something that tonight and yesterday night, I think twice it's happened. They were only able to join with 2 players. But take a look over at the top eliminations right now. It's Rafinha holding on to first. Remember, this is just for tonight, though.
Okay, so this is just for tonight, and some of them only play 2 games. Adrian, though, on the second place there with 8 eliminations. But the thing is that we saw him here in the last match. He had 7 alone in that one, so he only got 1 earlier. But I think one of the big things that we're seeing here is someone like Joey from Korean Barbecue Lovers with 8 eliminations. We know that they're down towards the bottom, but still being able to rack up all of those points, all of those eliminations, and putting himself here on the top 4 for tonight is really great to see.
Perfect. And I love the fact that Rise have started actually stepping things up a bit now, because they are a team that, you know, have been promising and have really disappointed in the first couple of days. But as we've seen in the past, they are a team that can develop consistency, however, with time. So fingers crossed that they're going to be able to do that going forward. But for us, I believe that's everything for us tonight. That is 4 games done, wrapped up and dusted. The action, I believe, continues here again tomorrow, same time, same place, this time with a couple more maps on top of it. So for us, any final words before we head off?
It's been a very weird day today, seeing how the games were actually played out and how the teams performed. But, you know, I feel like this is PUBG Mobile. Anything could happen, I guess.
Absolutely. Look, we will see what happens over the next few days of the Snapdragon Conquest Masters series. But for now, that is it for us. Join us again, same time, same place tomorrow. See you all next time.